History, tension, rivalry, friendship and elite stories. Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from the Ryder Cup. Number 1, Tiger's loo roll. The protagonist, Lee Westwood's former caddy, Billy Foster, said in a toilet cubicle at the Belfry. As he went to relieve his first morning nerves, Foster noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had loo roll, and while he was seated, in came a tiger into the empty cubicle, and he realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger the words, "Europe won up." As it happened, Europe did go on to win. Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina, when, after a gruelling Saturday, Rory McIlroy overslept on the Sunday and was in danger of missing his tee time. Thankfully for him, the person booking player transport was Erica Stoll. She sorted him a police escort to the course. 3 years later, McIlroy proposed in Paris. The next story is told by Scottish legend Sam Torrance about the great Seve, who apparently despised the Americans mainly because of a diminutive US reporter who kept calling him Steve.
Hey, my name is Severiano or Seve. It's no Steve, it's no Steve. Next day, Steve.
Torrance also tells of how Seve regularly gave coaching clinics to his European teammates. But a week later at the Italian Open, when the same players asked for advice, Seve would tell them to and see you next year. Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round, and as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and tumble onto the course and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
Welcome to the FA Cup final pre-match party here on BoxPark on a sunny Wembley way as we build up to the 144th FA Cup final between Crystal Palace and 7-time winners Man City. I'm Adi Oladipo alongside Rory Jennings, and we're going to be joined by a host of very special guests from both sides of the fence in the next 3 hours. Can Palace under Oliver Glasner win their first ever major trophy, or will a very bad season for Pep Guardiola turn into a decent season as he goes in search of his 19th trophy as Man City boss? This is the FA Cup final pre-match party live from BoxPark. Mr. Jennings, here we go.
Good, eh?
I love these. I've done a few of them, and every time I come, I'm almost surprised that people turn up 4 hours before kickoff.
No, it's no surprise at all. It's a glorious occasion. It's one of the most important dates in the sporting calendar, in my opinion, in the worldwide sporting calendar. It's the oldest cup competition in the world. The history of the FA Cup means so much to so many. Crystal Palace in the hunt for their first ever major piece of silverware. Manchester City desperate to try and rectify what has been a slightly underwhelming season for them.
Slightly underwhelming.
Slightly, but it doesn't have to end slightly. No, I don't think so. Yeah. If they end up qualifying for the Champions League and winning an FA Cup, by some definition, that's an excellent season.
Yeah, by winning a trophy, you're right.
Yeah, you win a trophy. You win a trophy in these circumstances. You retain. Oh no, they don't retain. They were desperate to win it last year. They got beaten in the FA Cup final last year. So they go to try and equalise that issue. I think that this is a magnificent occasion. I love the FA Cup so much, and you can see that everybody on Wembley Way here, everyone's got a spring in their step. Everybody is here with the sense of belief, and everybody is dreaming. It's cup fever. I love it.
I walked up Wembley Way, got off the Jubilee line, walked up Wembley Way about an hour ago. All Palace fans.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, look, City fans know this routine very well. They probably turn up at 3:30 and walk in.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think also if you're a Manchester City fan, I'm being very I'm generalising here, but if you're a Man City fan and you're coming from the north, you're coming into Euston.
Yeah.
You're going to have a drink round Euston, Baker Street. You're going to get the Met Line late. Yeah. You can use Marylebone. You can come in the other side.
Look at you, Mr. Geography.
No, I mean I do love the tube. I've got great knowledge of the tube. It's one thing where I do excel.
But Rory hates the buses.
But look, I do hate the buses. But look, you've got Palace fans. They're going to come here and they're going to embrace Wembley because it's more of a novelty to them. They have got a track record in the FA Cup. You know, they've been to finals before, but it's less familiar for them.
Yeah.
But you know, last time they played at Wembley, you look at what they did to Aston Villa.
Incredible.
They're a great team.
Could have been a bit more.
They're a great team, Palace. You know, like if you're a Palace fan, every time that you've come to Wembley previously, I think you've come as underdogs.
You know how good Palace are in this matchup? I think there are City fans. I think even Pep secretly will take about 3 or 4 of this Palace lot in Eastside.
No doubt.
Do you know
no doubt.
He's taking Gahey right now. He's taking Eze.
What starts for Man City today?
There you go.
Wharton no doubt starts for Man City today. When you look at the midfield, and often these games are won in the midfield. Yeah. I think that Mateo Kovacic needs to have the game of his life today. Mateo Kovacic is going to be so busy. He's really got to get it right because this Palace team, the incisive play, the clever approach from Oliver Glasner. I was about to say I could see an upset, but I don't even know if it is an upset. If Palace win, is that an upset?
Yeah, it's an upset. It's an upset. Them winning their first trophy against the Goliath, the behemoth that is Man City. There's something in the air, though, isn't there? Like, again, when I was here in February for the League Cup final, it just felt like Newcastle were going to do it.
Yeah, sometimes you just
feel like something is going to happen.
Written in the stars sort of thing. And
I think it's great for the league if Palace do it. I think more neutrals obviously want to see Palace win.
Yeah, I mean, I think almost
apart
everybody apart from
Brighton.
But yeah, basically everyone in the country apart from Brighton fans and Man City fans want to see Crystal Palace do it today, I think. And look, I think that they can. They're an excellent team. You know, like Ismaila Sarr's a wonderful footballer. Eberiche Eze is a wonderful footballer. I think the right back Munoz. Yeah. I think he could have a great impact today.
Great manager as well.
So think about the left side of Man City. Who stops Munoz?
No one.
Do you know who could stop a player of Munoz's quality?
One.
So I think this is going to be a brilliant game, an excellent matchup. And you know, when we went into the semi-final that Palace played here, when they went into that Villa game, I thought that they were going to struggle. I thought Villa would win. I thought Emery would get it right. They blitzed them. They were amazing. They weren't overawed by the occasion. They were ready to announce themselves at the top tier and the top table. And I think Man City, they got a problem today, City. They got a real problem.
You started the show by saying, look, FA Cup final is glorious. Let's be honest, in recent years, people have kind of, for want of a better word, poo-pooed on the FA Cup, right? It's all been about the Premier League, all about the Champions League. I feel like the FA Cup, slowly but surely, has risen again.
The FA Cup should have never, ever lost its glory. You know that conversation? No, it did because of dumb people. Dumb people say dumb things, and dumb people get retweets, and social media has had a negative impact on the way that football is viewed. Everybody with a brain loves the FA Cup. Everybody with a brain would never even discuss the FA Cup losing its magic. The FA Cup means so much to so many, and winning the FA Cup is historic. Anybody that prioritises, I don't know, a top 4 finish, a top 5 finish over winning an FA Cup, quite frankly, doesn't understand football. This is what it's all about.
Okay,
Wembley Way, in the sun, with your shorts on, watching your team lift silverware. That is football.
By the way, Rory's wearing short shorts.
As well you should. As well you should on Wembley Way.
Okay, then question. Should the winners of the FA Cup get a place in the Champions League? Obviously, look, different organisations, as opposed to the winners of the Europa League. Would that give it an extra bit of juice if you won the FA Cup, you're into the Champions League?
I think what you could argue is rather than giving 5 spots to the league finishers, you give a spot to the FA Cup winners. You give a spot to the FA Cup winners but the reason why I don't necessarily like that, Addy, I appreciate that it would make it perhaps more enticing for certain football teams. But the reason I don't like it is because winning the FA Cup is glory in itself. Winning the FA Cup is a prize within itself. You don't need a prize for winning the FA Cup. You don't get European qualification to a particular European tournament for winning a cup competition. The glory is making history. Like when you win an FA Cup, it will be sung about on the terraces forever. Chelsea fans still to this day will sing about what we did to Leeds United in 1970. It matters. It will matter forever. Finishing top 4 is basically insignificant to anybody apart from the money men.
I keep turning around because in about 20 minutes, me and Rory are going to need our own security because obviously we're very famous and everyone wants to take photos with us. But it does get super busy behind us in a minute. And the Palace fans, we can see in front of us as well. We've got a perfect shot here of Wembley Way. You can start to smell the burger vans as well. You just love it. This is football for me. Like, I think sometimes we lose ourselves in football. You know, when you get football fans talking about the importance of PSR and talking about like tactics and inverted fullbacks. And
football
VAR
is this.
And all that nonsense.
Exactly. Football is this. Football is about the fans coming to Wembley, making the pilgrimage, all full of hope, all full of desperation to see their team make history.
You know,
that is what we are witnessing here.
It's something, it still happens, but lesser and lesser, I think. You don't see colours that much anymore. And I think a lot of these Palace fans are wearing their colours. Yeah,
it's a very eye-catching kit they have. Like their colours really do resonate, and it's when it's contrasted with like the sky blue of Man City. Like you see a few Man City fans walking there. The red and blue of Palace really does enlighten the atmosphere. Yeah. But no, it's great.
A couple of City fans.
It's a couple of City. No,
City fans. We are doing spot the City fans for the first hour.
No, they are.
They'll be here. They're always here. To be fair, we were discussing off air about whether or not this is not just the best ever Palace Premier League side. I mean, we were going as far as to say, is this the best ever Palace side?
Yes.
But there's a few of these boys in here that are definitely in the best ever Palace side in the Premier League.
I think that you could easily argue that this is the Crystal Palace era. Like, I know I'm fully aware of the brilliance of the Wright and Bright team.
They are 12th in the league. I think you have to kind of look at it like that as well, though. They are 12th in the league. I know they always kind of finish 12th or 10th, but they are below mid-table.
But I don't think
we're going to say the best ever Palace side.
I don't think Crystal Palace have ever had it this good. They've been an established Premier League team now for what, 10, 11 years? Yeah. They're not even in the conversation for going down.
Agreed.
They have made themselves one of the established Premier League sides, which is something that they struggled to do in the past. They are, well, you've got to also remember, I don't think they played top flight until, what, 1969? So this is their era. They've got to Wembley before in this last 10 years. Yeah. And some of these players that they've got now, I believe, are the best that the club have ever had. Yeah. I think if you look across this team, like, I know it's early days, but let's discuss
You're going to go so big on Adam Wharton.
Well, is Adam Wharton in an all-time Crystal Palace team?
Oh, no.
Is Adam Wharton one of the best central midfielders that Crystal Palace have ever had?
Are we doing it off one season?
I don't think it's an extreme thing to say.
Off one season?
Just off the player that he is. He's an England midfielder who I think could go to the very top.
He could. Liverpool sniffing.
Exactly. Yeah. So have Crystal Palace ever had a better midfielder?
Yeah, Cabaye.
Johan Cabaye is a good shout.
Johan Cabaye.
Johan Cabaye is a good shout. But it's not easy, is it?
That's not easy. I can't name 5.
No. Yeah. So I think that this is, and then you look at certain other, like Eberechi Eze, I think would elevate basically every team in the Premier League.
100%.
Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Yeah.
Name a Premier League team that Jean-Philippe Mateta doesn't get into?
I can only name 2.
Yeah.
Man City and Newcastle. That's it.
Yeah.
Isak and Haaland.
Isak and Haaland are arguably
I honestly
better.
have him above. I know people might sniff at this. I have him above Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
I think Mateta's fantastic. He got 17 goals this season.
He's a brilliant player.
And bear in mind, he missed a portion because of that nasty head kick, didn't he?
Yeah.
He missed a bit as well, and he's come back and banged straight at it.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the back line, I think Henderson's a really good keeper.
Gahey's a fantastic
Gahey's a good defender. That Lacroix. I think they've just got a brilliant team. Yeah. Sarr. Yeah. They are a team capable of beating Man City. And you know earlier when I said, would it be an upset if Palace win? Of course I understand what Man City represent. But I'm not necessarily sure that when you analyse a team, when you look at the trajectory, when you think about the form of both teams, the form that both teams have displayed so far this season, Crystal Palace beating Man City, when you think Man City this season lost 9 out of 11 games, I don't think it's an extreme position to say it's not an upset.
Yeah, hunger and desire could be key in this one. We're going to be joined by a host of guests as well. Shaun Wright-Phillips is going to join us. Julian Speroni, everyone's trying to work out how does he speak, because no one's ever heard him speak before. Paul Dickov, Martin Kelly, Connor Wickham, amongst many guests. All right, Angelina Kelly has, I think, a hard task. She's down Wembley Way speaking to the fans. Angelina, give us a layout of how it all is looking down there.
You know what? The sun is out. There is nothing like FA Cup final day. I'll be honest, a lot of Crystal Palace fans, not that many City fans yet. Of course, at the semi-final, I actually went on a hunt for City fans, but I know it's going to be easier today because it is the final. So much riding on this for Manchester City. A chance for them to go trophyless, who'd have thought? And of course, for Crystal Palace, the history, the fact that they've been here before against the red side of Manchester, they will desperately want this trophy. But yeah, like I say, a lot of fans already. I'm already seeing a lot of Crystal Palace Eagle mascots, but you've got the music going already, you've got the burger vans, you've got the smell of the onions, and you can just tell everyone is up for this FA Cup final.
That's what we need to hear. Burger vans, smell of the onions, scarves, etc, etc, etc. More from Angelina Kelly a bit later. You are listening to the Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT. We are live from BoxPark, Wembley, with Carlin, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. Welcome to the FA Cup final pre-match party. Adi Ladipo, Rory Jennings. We're in BoxPark on Wembley Way, home for today to Crystal Palace, who are going to pack out this place. Already starting to get very, very busy. The drinks are flowing, the burgers are cooking, and we are as well. By the way, they've not given us a bit of food, a bit of grub, nothing.
No, the drinks may be flowing, not in this direction.
Yeah, nothing. We've got a bottle of water.
There you go, lucky you.
They've been kind to us. We've got a bottle of water.
Favouritism, I didn't get nothing.
Julian Speroni is going to join us in a minute. One of Crystal Palace's longest serving ever players, fantastic goalkeeper. Before we speak to him though, let's remind you of how Crystal Palace got to the final.
Crystal Palace, with so many big sides already out of the competition, may be eyeing the road to Wembley.
Well, it would be great. Yeah, I know that everybody is waiting.
When Hodgson went, everyone said, you know, be careful what you wish for and all that kind of stuff. But the transformation of every single player squad has been brilliant.
And Palace look set for a South East London derby with Millwall in the FA Cup 5th round. Headed by Richards, and then a looping header. He's in off the inside of the post. Palace 3, Millwall 1. Surely that will be the 5th round tie done and dusted.
You reach an FA Cup quarter-final, you start thinking about Wembley. You start dreaming about lifting that cup. And why not?
Right now for Crystal Palace, it's exciting. I like it.
Oh, it's a terrific finish by Emirates. Palace heading to Wembley and their 5th FA Cup semi-final. Fulham 0, Palace 3.
It is arguably the most open FA Cup in years. Maybe
Oliver Glasner might take a leaf out of Bard's books and bring out his dancing dad moves on the touchline.
You know, you'd have to put it in the top 5 greatest Crystal Palace displays.
Ismail Assar scores for Crystal Palace. Palace are coming back to Wembley. 3-0.
Fully deserved. Crystal Palace have been fantastic in this FA Cup journey so far, and it puts them in, I think, a really good position against Man City today. Remember, kick-off for that one a bit later. Let's look ahead to the game today with Carlin.
Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
I said we're going to have some special guests today with us, and we've kicked things off with a bang. It's downhill from now on, though. That's the problem. Because we're joined by the legend, that is Julian Speroni. 14 seasons. That must be the longest. Has anyone, like, that must be up there.
15.
How dare I take a season away from him? 15 seasons at Crystal Palace.
Signed in 2004.
Yeah.
And left in 2019. So
wow. You look like you can still play now. What's going on? You're allowed to get off the diet, Julian.
I wish.
You're okay. It's been an incredible run for Crystal Palace, hasn't it, so far? And I almost felt like the season started a bit shaky, and all of a sudden Glasner's turned it around, and second half of the season they've been one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, it's amazing the form they're in at the moment, so they couldn't find this game at a better time, really. As you say, after a slow start, then they picked up and they managed to get some excellent results, so yeah, really looking forward to today.
Do you think, I said to Addy earlier that this game is so finely poised that I wouldn't even see it as an upset if Crystal Palace were to win. Palace have looked so good, Glasner has got this team playing so well, and Manchester City have looked vulnerable. Do you think it's fair to say that this is really even?
Well, if you just look back a few weeks ago when they play Man City away, they find themselves 2-0 up, right? And they had a goal disallowed. That could have been 3-0 and game over, but then momentum changed. De Bruyne scores from a free kick, and then they managed to turn it around. But I think if Palace gave themselves, a three-goal lead there, it would have been very hard for Man City to come back.
What have you made of the manager, Oliver Glasner? Obviously, look, Crystal Palace have had, I guess, different types of managers. Roy Hodgson, a bit more reserved. Vieira came and it was free-flowing football. Glasner seems to be a bit of both of them.
Yeah, it's amazing what he's done in the 2 seasons he's been in charge. How the team plays, how they adapted to the new formation as well, and yeah, you can see the results. They're playing some very good football.
Yeah. You played over 400 games for Crystal Palace. Like, you have a complete understanding of what this would mean for Palace fans. As you walk through here, I can see Palace fans like so excited that you were in their presence. What would it actually mean for Crystal Palace to finally win their first piece of major silverware?
It'd be an amazing achievement, really. I was part of the squad in the last one that we tried. Hopefully this will be third time lucky, because to win a major trophy for the club, it will be something special.
Do you think it takes them to that next level? Like Crystal Palace have, for the last few years, have always been that team that's kind of floating around mid-table. Fantastic players, but always floating around mid-table. Sometimes it takes a trophy to take you to that next level where you are now, maybe trying to break into the top 10, a European run as well, maybe?
Yeah, that's one thing that maybe is we're lacking, you know, just to push a little bit farther, maybe to get into Europe, you know. And as you say, you know, winning this trophy, it could be the starting of something very, very special, you know. Maybe, who knows, maybe play Europe next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that all the fans, you can see here, you know, the excitement of all the fans coming here today, hoping that, you know, today we get the result that we want.
A few of them have just recognised you. Look, having a look. They're like, hey! Just recognise you. So.
No, you are a hero in these parts.
They're used to the long hair. They're like, what's
you really are a hero in these parts. Can I ask you your thoughts on Dean Henderson? Because I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the league. How highly do you rate him?
Really high, really high. He's been superb this season. He put so many great saves, and he's having a fantastic season. And again, you know, to play the way Palace is playing at the moment, you need to have that safety at the back. You know, you need to have a goalkeeper that you can trust, and Dean is proving that this year.
One thing we have seen, though, is almost the baton from Wilfried Zaha now being passed to Eberechi Eze. And I always felt like Eze didn't really want that tag as being the man, right? It almost felt like it could be Elise, it could be Mateta. I think in the last couple of weeks we've seen that Eze's decided to become, I think, the superstar we always thought he could become.
Yeah, it's a responsibility for him, of course. He has the ball, and he needs to create. People expect him to create something, and it reminds me a little bit of when we have Wilf Zaha and Yannick Bolasie on the other side, so both you know, linking together on either side, and him, Zaha, you know, they always have this responsibility of when Palace has the ball, they need to produce.
Palace fans, they're known for making a real racket, and you know the Holmesdale at Selhurst Park really does pipe up. Are you expecting the same from Wembley Stadium today? I think that the Palace fans seem to be here in their droves. The atmosphere seems to be really building. What do you remember from the last time that you were in Wembley with Crystal Palace fans? Did they dominate the atmosphere?
They are the best fans in the world.
Really?
So, they're going to be loud. They're going to be loud. They're going to make Manchester City feel like they're the away team. I'm pretty sure of that.
On Eze, I look at him and I think he's a player that could go all the way. And I know Crystal Palace fans won't like me saying this, but he's a player that I feel like could play for the top teams in the world. Do you feel like there's more to be unlocked with Eze? Do you almost feel like there's another level that he could go to?
Of course, you know, in football you never stop learning. You know, I was almost 40 years old when I retired, and I was still learning on my last season. You know, so of course, yeah, I think it's more for him to come. You know, he's developing really, really nicely, and getting better every week. So I don't see why not. You know, I think it's more from him to come.
I feel like we've gone Crystal Palace all the way. Quick word on Man City. Obviously, look, not the best of seasons, but they could turn it around by winning this one. I mean, you're playing against a giant here, right? They're a manager that could be the best ever manager we've ever seen.
Man City is Man City. You know, you never know when they're going to wake up. So we need to be very careful today, because they are a huge team and they have huge players. So they're always dangerous. No matter where they are, where they've been, how the season is gone, it's still Man City and the players they have. So we need to take care of that.
What are you doing now? Walking up to Wembley? You're inside?
Yeah, I'm gonna be inside. Yes, I got the family here around. So just want to enjoy today.
Enjoy it, Julian. Really appreciate you coming on.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I feel very unhealthy next to him. I feel like I've been breathing in throughout this interview.
Very dapper man, right there.
Yeah. All right, that's all thanks to Carl.
Bye, guys.
Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Always drink responsibly.
All right, you're listening to the FA Cup final pre-match party on talkSPORT. Adil Adiba, Rory Jennings. We heard from the great Julian Speroni. I think he might stay with us. He's very keen to stay with us, which is good. Paul Dickov's going to join us as well, so don't go anywhere. Loads more guests, loads more action right here from BoxPark and Wembley Way.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895 they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
Looking to float across in, it's over Heko's head, but Troy Deeney is there, he tries to take it beyond the goalkeeper, that's a great save by Speroni, who just wrapped his left hand round the boot of Troy Deeney. Crystal Palace, who come forward, now on the edge of the area, Zaha goes down under Cassetti's challenge, that's going to be a penalty, and Wilfred Zaha punches the air in delight. Kevin Phillips, 39 years of age, places the ball on the spot for Crystal Palace, he steps up right-footed, blasts the ball past Manuel Almunia and into the net, and Kevin Phillips may have just sent Crystal Palace to the promised land. They've done it! Crystal Palace have landed back in the Premier League.
Good times. Speroni had a smile on his face listening to that as well. We are here at the FA Cup final pre-match party from BoxPark, Wembley. It's starting to get very busy here as well. I don't know what the capacity is, but I think they're going to break the capacity record. Speroni's being dragged everywhere. You're getting mobbed here.
I know. It's like hanging about with Leonardo DiCaprio. Everybody's desperate for a piece.
Do we have personal security for Speroni, please? Do we got personal security?
How many selfies have you taken today?
Oh, it's Mike. Turn his mic on. We can bury him.
Hello.
There we go. You're very popular in here. Gosh.
I can't thank him enough. You know, every time I meet the fans, it's just amazing. You know, after all these years, how they make me feel. It's just
listening to that footage there, because obviously you were a part of the team that won at Wembley to get back to the Premier League. How does that make you feel hearing that commentary?
It brings so many memories, back from that day. All the build-up of the semi-final against our arch rivals. Winning that and then coming to Wembley, play the playoff final, and then get back into the Premier League, which is what we're waiting for.
It's interesting. I almost felt like teams back then, Julian, when they came into the Premier League, I gave them a really good chance of staying in the Premier League. I feel like the gap now between the Championship and the Premier League has got so much bigger. Like teams that come up, I almost expect them, unfortunately, to go back down.
First season is always hard, it's always been. But now, for some reason, it seems to be very hard for teams promoted to stay in the league. That first year is crucial, and you have to do everything has to be right for you to have a good chance to stay in the Premier League. But then once you stay there, you manage to establish yourself, and for us, it's been now, 10, 11 years now.
Incredible achievement.
It's an incredible achievement, really. We established ourselves as a Premier League club.
It should be seen as actually being the template, for the teams that have been promoted. If you're Leeds United, for example, you could look at what Crystal Palace have done since that promotion that you were involved with. That 10 years has possibly been the best 10 years that Crystal Palace fans have had. They've been established in the Premier League. They've got now one of the best teams that they've ever had, and it was all off the back of that promotion against Watford.
Yeah, that's what everything started. That promotion campaign, then obviously Wembley playoffs, winning the playoffs, coming into the Premier League, and then managed to stay there. And that gave us the foundation for everything that came after, including the new academy building that we have and everything. So it's been great. It's been brilliant.
Here he is. Turns up about 20 minutes late, but he looks dapper. Giving a bit of a smile. Paul, put your gowns on, Paul. Put your gowns on.
Yeah, very cozy, yeah.
Legends all over the place now.
Oh. How are you, Paul? Good to see you.
Paul, how are you?
Better now I'm here.
Yeah?
Relying on the Great British Transport again. So
yeah, you can never rely on that, Paul.
Got here about some better late than...
How are you feeling, Paul? Obviously, we've been talking to Julian here, and he's been saying like it's a huge day in Crystal Palace. This is such a massive day in their history. It's a pivotal day. They have the opportunity to win their first trophy, their first major trophy ever. For Manchester City, it's not quite the same feeling. You've been very spoiled for silverware. Do you still get a spring in your step when you walk down Wembley Way?
I think after the season the club's had, you know, that people were saying they've been here 20 times since Pep's been here, something ridiculous.
Wow.
And every time, whether that be semi-finals or Community Shields or FA Cup finals, and at the same time, you know, it's been a season that's been a disappointment for the club. So coming to Wembley Way, there's still the same buzz. I've still seen all these Man City fans.
Teamwork.
Yeah, Man City fans on the way down, they're all buzzing about it as well. So and it's a big day for Palace, of course. They've done fantastic, but it's a big day for Manchester City after the season we've had. Because if you said at the start of the season that the FA Cup would be the only thing they'd be playing for, I don't think the fans or the club would have been that happy about it. But now the way the seasons went, and if they could finish in the top 5, which is still up in the air at the minute, but won an FA Cup today, it would be huge for the club.
Yeah. You played each other, what, 3-4 weeks ago? 5-2 victory for Man City, but the game wasn't a 5-2 game, was it? It could have gone crazy. It could have been 3-0 Palace, but in the end you turned it round. Do you almost feel like that game could be similar, a lot of up and down, almost a bit like a basketball match between the two?
I think so. If you look at even the game at Sellers Park earlier in the season, there was 4 goals, and there was 7 goals at the Etihad last month. That's
crazy.
So hopefully not put the knockers on it today. I want to see lots of goals, but I was at the Etihad last month, and Palace for the first 20-25 minutes were electric. We sat in deep, and then when they hit us on the break, you know, we really struggled, and at 2-0, and then as you said, 3-0, and I think it was like an inch if that got it, it would have been very difficult to come back. But then after City got back in the game, 2-2 at half-time, the second half, City were excellent. I know I was slightly surprised, Jules, that he took Mateta off at half-time and changed the system a little bit, which I think played into City's hands that day. But it's got the makings of a really great game. You look at the forwards players on each side, you know, and I've just mentioned the front three of Palace. Be interesting to see what Pep does today as well, because he has changed his team. You know, Jack Grealish has played the last few cup games in the middle. Kevin De Bruyne has not been playing. Doku's been in and out at the minute, but whenever he's came in the pitch, he's been fantastic, and obviously they've got the big man back up front as well, so it's going to be interesting what happens today.
I love that, the battle of the big man, because I think Mateta's equally as good as a big man as is Haaland. All right, hold your thoughts. There's been a goal in the game between Wimbledon and Notts County in the League 2 semi-final second leg playoff. The Moose is watching.
9 minutes gone. It's Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0. Josh Neuville with the goal, coming in from the left-hand side, a shot over the top of the goalkeeper, Alex Bass, who used to play here, of course, at Plough Lane, and now the Dons have a 2-goal advantage. Commentary on talkSPORT 2 on the night, or on the day, it's Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0. On aggregate, Wimbledon lead 2-0.
Okay, we'll keep you updated as to when more goals go in. I think more goals will go in that one. You mentioned Haaland. I think Mateta's been fantastic. Honestly, I'd say Haaland, I'd say Isak, and then I kind of feel like Mateta's in that next group of forwards. How good has he been watching him for the last couple of seasons?
He's brilliant, but not just scoring goals, but contributing to the play, you know, because SSR and all the plays build, but then obviously he scores, but also when he drops a little bit deeper, then he managed to actually contribute to that as well. So it's been fantastic this season.
It's got to be terrifying from a Man City perspective, I think, because the way that Crystal Palace play, the way that their forwards interchange, and the way that Oliver Glasner sets them up. You know, you've got the brilliance of Munoz coming on at right back. There is so many threats for City to consider. Do you think that Pep Guardiola is worried about the challenge that Crystal Palace can offer?
I don't think he'll be worried, but I think he'll be very wary. And go back to Mateta, I think he's vital to how they play. You know, and whether the ball's going up to him, 9 times out of 10 the ball sticks, and that allows the rest of the team, whether it be Sarr, whether it be Eze, to come in off the lines, because they know it's going to stick when he gets there. And then once they two come in off the lines, both both wing-backs really go, and it causes teams a lot of problems.
He's definitely one of the best strikers in the Premier League at the moment, isn't he?
He is not just, as Joe said, not just his goal scoring, but how he does for the team. And I think it was evident when he was injured and he got the head injury how much they missed him. He's such a focal part of how they want to play. We all know in the big games they want to defend a bit deeper and hitting the break. And the one thing that's really important as a number 9, Jules, is the ball's got to stick when it comes up to you, and let the team get up the pitch. And he does it so well, not just for the Eze and Sarr.
I haven't seen many better than him holding the ball when the team needs that off pressure, you know what I mean?
And it's not just Tyreek Mitchell, but especially Mimi, as he said on the other side. He's really important as well how they play.
On Haaland, I was looking at his numbers the other day, and some say he's had a bad season. He's got 30 goals in all competitions. 30 goals in all competitions. And it has felt quiet, because it's not as crazy as it was in his first season. But 30 goals, and he's been out injured for a portion of the season as well. It's incredible.
It's madness. You think, was it 50 plus in his first season, 30 plus last season, and he's missed a lot of this season. And people, as you said, it's crazy. People are saying he's had a bad season. Yeah. You know, that was 3 good seasons for me, scoring 30 goals. Never mind 30 goals in one season.
Do you think he definitely starts the game at its magnitude?
Yeah, I do. Look, you can never predict what sort of team Pep's going to pick. I just think with him being out injured, today is hugely important for the club, as I said before. And then a huge game against Bournemouth on Tuesday night. You know, and after him being out for that spell, he got 90 minutes last week, but he did look a bit rusty. Yeah. We got to admit. So I think it's important to get more minutes in him today for the last 2 games of the season, because for Man City, these 3 games are huge. Yeah. You know, they could win an FA Cup and qualify for the Champions League, or they could be runners-up and not get in the top 5, which is unthinkable.
You know, when you talk from a City perspective about the importance of the FA Cup, obviously of late City fans have been very spoiled. You've seen everything. Treble, for example, one of the best things that's ever happened in British football. But obviously there is a generation just older than that went quite a long time. I'm a Chelsea fan, Paul, but there was a generation that I was part of that went 25 years without a trophy. So any trip to Wembley will always inspire. It will always mean so much. It'll always be a spring in your step. Do you think the Man City fans are desperate for this trophy still?
I think I've gone back repeating myself after the season they've had, but it's a trophy. Look, City fans were the same as Chelsea fans. You know, went a long time without winning anything. I played for them for a long part of that, by the way, and we weren't very good. But
wasn't your fault, Paul. Wasn't your fault.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I know it's a trophy that Pep regards really highly. He respects the tradition of the FA Cup. Every time if you look at over the course of the last 9-10 years since he's been here, he's always picked strong teams. It's always a cup that he wants to win. And as I said, especially none more so than today. Look, if they did already the Carabao Cup and the Premier League and they were in a Champions League final coming up, maybe it wouldn't be seen that's important. But I think it's vitally important for the club going forward into next season as well that they get some silverware.
Should be an absolutely cracking game. Right, you're listening to the Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT. We're live from BoxPark, Wembley, with Carlin, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. 2 of the FA Cup final pre-match party. We're in wonderful, beautiful BoxPark here on Wembley Way. Lovely day for the FA Cup final as well. I've been joined by a couple of very special guests. Don't show them yet, don't show them. I want to introduce them in a minute. But first, let's go to Angelina Kelly, who's out on Wembley Way with a few City fans.
Yes, here with a City fan, we've got Joe from the City Ramble podcast. Now, Joe, you've had a bit of a nervy 24 hours almost. You only just found out this morning that you got tickets for this game. And on top of that, you know, Man City, you're saying that you're feeling more nervous about this than some of the other finals.
Yeah, I mean, for 2023, when we played United, I was thinking, God, you know, we're a really good team. We'll batter anybody, and especially United at that point, I thought, you know, they're not as good as they used to be. So I was really confident then. But now I think City have had a really difficult season, and I think it could just be, you know, it's a cup competition, anything can happen. But mainly, I think, you know, it depends on what team Pep selects, and I think it depends on whether the players turn up or not. I mean, last year in the cup final against United then, I mean, the players were still hungover, so it sort of depends whether the players think, right, this is the only chance at silverware now, and whether they kick on and think, we've got to do this for the fans, especially Kevin as well, with it being his last cup final, last appearance at Wembley, one of his last appearances in the City shirt. You know, he deserves to go in with the trophy. But, you know, Palace are a good team. They've shown that they can put 2 goals past us. They quite easily could have beat us at the Etihad should, you know, Eze's goal not be ruled offside. So, yeah, I am quite nervous, to be honest.
I mean, you mentioned they're not hungover, so that's a positive, or I don't know how you take that because that means they've not won the Premier League. But anyway, talking about Erling Haaland, he said that this season has been boring. He said it's not been fun. Does that sum it up perfectly?
I think from a fan and player perspective, it can be a bit boring because you've not got anything to be striving for. You've not got a league title or a title race that you're going in. Champions League knocked out, you know, early doors really. So I can sort of see it from his perspective. But for me and a lot of other City fans, especially some of the old guard that I've come with this weekend, you know, they sort of think it's an exciting season because of the unpredictability. You know, you don't know what City's going to turn up, either the City from the 90s or the City from 2 years ago. So, yeah, I think it has been a bit of a boring season, but I think it's eventful, and to be fair, you know, if we end it with Champions League qualification and FA Cup, it's a good season. I'll take that.
Well, there you have it, and another one on Erling Haaland. He has failed to score in the 5 times that he's been at Wembley, so this is a day that he has definitely got to stand up and be counted. Back to you guys.
How dare he say that? City from the 90s or City from the
90s? Unbelievable.
How dare he? When we got Paul Dickov, who've done good stuff for City in the 90s alongside the legend that is Stuart Pearce, former Man City defender and manager. It made me laugh though when he said, we've got to get another trophy for Kevin De Bruyne. He's got 100 already. I think Kevin De Bruyne is okay.
It's just be a great way for him to go off, wouldn't it?
It would be. Fantastic player. Stuart, how are you feeling for this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting one for me. If Palace play like they did in the semi-final when they've shown in the league, I think they'll win it. If City show that experience and Palace, the occasion gets to them slightly, I see a Man City victory because of the experience they got on these occasions.
How important do you think it is that Manchester City have been here and done it? Like this team, this Guardiola side, there's one thing they know, and that is how to get over the line. Whereas for Crystal Palace, this is brand new to them. You know, they've been to a final fairly recently as a club, but for this crop of players, it's pretty much their first rodeo. What do you think is more likely to succeed, the experience or the enthusiasm?
Being myself, I'd probably err on the experience, but Palace come here a month ago in a semi-final and were fantastic against a strong Villa team, so they handled the occasion that day. If they can handle the occasion again and the front three hit the ground running like they have done, they've been brilliant recently. If they do that, they'll cause City a problem, but I've got to say I was here for the Forest game and I thought Forest might cause City a problem. The way Pep, and I don't think he got a great deal of credit for the way he put the team out. Grealish played tucked in a little bit, Doku on the outside of him, and I think tactically they dominated the game in the first half, and that was enough to get them over the line.
Paul, a couple of words that have been thrown out in the lead up to this one is hunger and desire. We've got a lot of those City players who filled their boots with trophies, trebles and doubles on a routine basis, and you talk about the Palace players who haven't really won much. How important is hunger and desire for these City players to kind of show it again?
Yeah, it's huge, and I know through being in and around the club the last couple of weeks that the hunger and desire is definitely there. You know, Stuart will tell you when you're a top player, the one thing you don't like getting is criticism, but when you do get it, you want to go out there and prove people wrong. The last 4 or 5 seasons I've not had any You know, everything's been all rosy. They've been winning everything. This season's been it's been different for them because they've not been used to it. But knowing now that this is our one chance to get their hands on silverware, not just Pep and the coaching staff, the players are determined to do it. Not just to win it for themselves, but for the club and the fans, but to prove a few people wrong as well. Because this is the first time I've came to Wembley under Pep, and City have not been the favourites, or overwhelming favourites. You know, and the City fans coming down from the train today, they were like the one we just spoke to there. They were really apprehensive about how today's going to go, purely because of how Palace played in the semi-final and how they played in the first half hour at the Etihad last month.
And with that in mind, games of this magnitude are often won and lost in the midfield. The Crystal Palace midfield is so brilliant, isn't it? It's effervescent. It's got Adam Wharton, who I think is a gem. How important is it going to be for Man City to nullify the pace and the power of Crystal Palace's midfield? Like, what are you expecting it? Like Mateo Kovacic to have the game of his life almost?
Yeah, Kovacic has been outstanding recently, and you know, Stuart was talking there about Pep's tactics and what he's done. He's went away from having the two out-and-out wingers in the last 7 or 8 games where they went unbeaten, and he's looked to flood the midfield a little bit more and used like Guardiola or Nico O'Reilly or Nunes on the right-hand side to push on, just purely so they can dominate the ball and be a little bit more solid in the middle of the park, because there was lots of things wrong in the middle of the season, but the one thing that was evidently clear was the big gaps in midfield that teams were exploiting when they were hitting in the break, playing between the lines against City. So he's put Kovacic, he's put Gundo in there, Kev, Jack's tucked in a few times as well and played more central, just to try and dominate the ball when they've got it, but give them a bit more solidity when teams are trying to hit them in the break by outnumbering teams in there, then just relying on the two full-backs / wing-backs to do the job for them.
Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner, arguably the best at what he does, maybe ever. Honestly, he's fantastic. Is his absence solely down to what's happened at City this season, or is there more there? Have the legs gone with a few of the big stars, Gundogan, Bernardo maybe, or is it just down to Rodri's absence?
I think it's a combination of both, if I'm being honest with you. I think too many players. I can't look at City. I tell you what, I was asked to pick my team of the year. Don't think it had a City player in it. If someone said to me at the start of this season that will be the case, you would have said, no, you're crazy.
First time
You've
in a
never
decade,
seen
probably.
exactly that. And a few of the players have not showed any form at all this year, without a doubt. And Rodri missing, maybe he inspires others around him, as they often do. You know, he shields the back line, so he doesn't expose them. I mean, listen, if you're the World Player of the Year, then you can understand he's going to be a great miss to any team.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? When you describe it like that, the way that it's gone for Manchester City this season, I think this game, it adds to the magnitude of it. It adds to the importance, because if City are to become again the club that they have been under Pep Guardiola, you sort of need the win here. You can use it as a springboard to go into the new season. If these next few games go wrong, you lose a cup final and you don't qualify for the Champions League, it's almost like a redefining moment for the club, isn't it?
I think City this year, with the way they've played, and Dickie's seen more of them than I have, and they've been awful at times, you know, so easy to break down, ball over the top, even in the first round of the FA Cup away at Orient caused them problems, turning them round and that type of thing.
That goal of the season,
which is incredible. But what you've got to turn around and say, if Pep ends up getting his hands on the silverware today, and they're back in the Champions League again, I think it's a really good season with where they've been at times this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you lose 9 out of 11, if you lose 9 out of 11 games at one point in the season, and you end the season with silverware and a top 4, or at least a Champions League spot,
and they've lost 5 games in a row within that 9 games that they didn't win, which is unthinkable. So for them now to the chance, as you say, Rory, to win a trophy and finish in the Champions League, I've always got my blue tinted glasses on all the time, but through that spell I couldn't see them even finishing in the top 4 at the time they were thinking of. So I just thought the season had completely gone, and this was halfway through the season. So you've got to give them a little bit of credit, and Pep a little bit of credit for the last sort of couple of months, how he's tweaked things around and changed things around in his team just purely to get results. They've not been anywhere near the Man City we know, but they're doing just enough, and Pep's just doing enough to get them results, to get them over the line at the minute.
All right, go on very quickly, 10 seconds, score prediction.
I'll go 3-1 Manchester City, of course.
Blue tinted glasses very much on.
Lend me your glasses, Dickie. I'm airing on a 2-1 City. I think their experience on the big occasion will get them over the line. I think we've got a great game on our hands, though.
Gents, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, you're listening to the FA Cup final pre-match party on talkSPORT. Adi Oladipo, Rory Jennings. Up next, former Man City and Chelsea winger Shaun Wright-Phillips will join us as well. We'll also get his thoughts on Chelsea.
From the Toffees to the Tractor Boys, the Eagles to the Seagulls, Gunners, Bees, Hammers and Magpies, Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term Tractor Boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire's also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles," and some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them, like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Welcome back to the FA Cup final pre-match party. If I'm shouting, I do apologise. It's just so loud in here. It's so loud in BoxPark. We're on Wembley Way. The DJ needs to get paid extra. Yeah. Because the DJ's been playing the best
old school garage.
These 90s. And it's the best of the 90s right now. Look, it's been not the best season for Man City. It could be, though, a very good season. Let's remind you of how Man City got to the FA Cup final.
Manchester City have lost again.
And it's not going to change the season have been poor.
I feel like this season now for Manchester City is try and nick a cup competition and try and get top four.
Grealish in towards De Bruyne, towards goal and in. City might just get away with it.
Just take a look all over Europe, FA Cup, so one game, how difficult it is for everyone.
To the far post, Talavera! He's headed it in! Incredible! Plymouth Argyle, relegation fodder in the Championship, lead away at mighty Manchester City.
The bottom line is if they end up getting silverware on the back of the season that they've had, I think it will be a major step this year.
Kevin De Bruyne slides in, hooks it home on the goal line and sends Manchester City into the FA Cup quarter-final. Getting it through and through, Arifa Balaga and in. Mamouche, Manchester City have turned it around. Mamouche with an instant impact.
Chance to win the FA Cup and finishes in the Champions League. He knows this needs to be a big push.
That would be incredible success just for the fact of being there.
Guardiola doubling the lead. There might be no way back. City looking nailed on now for a third successive FA Cup final.
I love this. I love it. Like, it's wonderful, isn't it?
It's cup final day. There's nothing quite like it. This is why
true.
anybody who ever demonstrates any sort of sneery attitude towards the FA Cup doesn't understand football. This is what it's about. This is beautiful. Look at Wembley Way glistening in the sun.
He does this, Sean. Surely he does this.
Well, I'm right, though, aren't I?
Yeah, just letting him run away.
Let him go.
Some people would honestly prioritise a top 5 finish over winning an FA Cup. They are wildly
Let's introduce
wrong.
our very special guest.
The King.
Yeah, he loves you, by the way. But more for your time at Chelsea than your time at Man City. Former Man City and Chelsea winger and England winger Shaun Wright-Phillips is with us. That package there, hearing about how Man City got to the final, it's almost been a reflection of their season. They kind of stumbled their way through a few games. Obviously, look, blew away Nottingham Forest in the semi-final, but this isn't the best City side we've seen over the last decade, Sean.
Yeah, you're most probably right there in terms of, you would say they've underachieved and in many ways underperformed, but I think on top of that, it's because they set the bar so high that anything marginally away from that is going to be a bad season for them. Now, they've come off of winning, 4 trophies, 4 back-to-back Premier League. I expected not a dip, but a change or tiredness, fatigue somewhere, because it's hard enough to win 1 Premier League, let alone win 4 in a row back-to-back, the amount of games that they played. So they seem to be getting in that groove now in terms of managing games and finding ways to win them. So that's positive.
We forget about that, don't we, Rory? Like, and he's correct. There's like 7 or 8 of those players that have played 60-plus games every season. International teams as well, big international teams. So they're going deep in international tournaments. They probably played 70 games every season for the last 4 or 5 seasons.
And they broke records along the way. They won 4 league titles in a row. 4 league titles in a row have never, ever been done.
And a treble snuck in there.
And the reason it's never been done is because it's basically impossible. People are annoyed with them because they didn't do 5. You know what I mean? They did 4 and broke a record. Everyone went, well, they've let themselves down this year. And you're like, they won 4 league titles in a row, including a treble. Like, what on earth can they do? And if they end this season with an FA Cup and a top 4 finish, I think that's a really good season as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because it's been a bad season, as you say, by Pep and City's lofty standards. But they could end it with an FA Cup, which I think will be Pep's 19th trophy with Man City. 19!
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I say to people all the time, I'm like, it doesn't matter what trophy you're going for or that you possibly can win, it's the hardest thing to do. There's so many unbelievable players that never picked up any silverware in England. So it doesn't matter what cup it is, you get a chance to get it. You've got to grab that with both hands and run with it.
Well, where's the hunger and desire from this City team, though, Sean? Again, this is the team that have players that have won trebles and doubles. You know, like, this for them is a normal day out. They've probably got houses up here because they're so used to coming here.
It can't be sure. From a player's perspective,
it will never get old.
Yeah.
Okay. It will never get old. I've been lucky enough to be around some of the players every now and again, especially at pre-season, and that mentality is still the same. Even coming into this season, if a team scored against them in pre-season, they were angry about it. They don't like it. So they understand what the season has been for them, and they've worked hard to rectify it, which they're on the path of doing. And I think what they've done very well at the back end of the season is they've cut out those mistakes that cost them goals. We're not giving away chances now. People have to fight to score their goals, and that puts them in a better position.
You know, Sean, you obviously would have played for Chelsea and won the FA Cup here, the first FA Cup at the new Wembley. Does that rank as one of your greatest moments, like winning the FA Cup? From a player's perspective, I think from a fan's perspective, I know how much it means. But do you think players, particularly modern-day players, does it rank incredibly highly?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's not just the FA Cup, it's any cup, to be honest with you. But obviously with the FA Cup comes that story from a kid. Everyone's always got that story of how they got into the FA Cup, even as a player and as a fan. So to win it, when I won it that year, like, it was so weird, because I know I had played a lot of the games leading up to it. But Mourinho came to me that 3 days before it, and he said to me, look, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously he's on fire that year. He said, you and Paulo Freire have to double up on him. He said, if you lot do that well, we win the game. So my focus then wasn't even about attacking. It wasn't even about attacking. It was literally attack when I can, but focus on me and Paulo stopping Ronaldo. And then obviously Didier scores and we win it 1-0.
You're almost split here. Obviously, look, played for City, but your dad's an icon for Crystal Palace,
That's
right?
my dad's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're not Smith at all. Man City all the way.
I'm City all the way. Obviously, I'm from South London.
Exactly.
So I do have a soft spot for Palace. And my first FA Cup game I went to was Crystal Palace versus Man United, where Dad comes on and scores 2 goals as well.
See, there you're feeling it yourself. There you go.
It's kind of weird in terms of that, but I'm blue and I.
How good, though, are a few Palace players? Everyone says Eze reminds of you a little bit, the way in which he kind of drifts and just takes the ball on. How good are some of these Palace players?
They're unbelievable. I think form-wise, they're probably top 1 or 2 in the last 3 months in the Premier League. And that the players that are doing what they're doing are things that everyone's been waiting for, like Wharton back in the team. He keeps them ticking now. And then you got Nunes, which for me, I don't know where he gets his energy from. He don't trade on it.
Amazing.
Mitchell, I think, has been unbelievable. Gahey, Sarr, Mateta, Eze, they got a team there. I think that they can hurt anybody in the Premier League on that day.
Yeah, and you know what you were saying there about how Mourinho came up with a system of trying to stop Manchester United, and you and Paulo Ferreira had to work a system out to make sure that Ronaldo didn't flourish. Do you think Pep Guardiola will be looking at this Palace team and thinking of a way to maybe stop Eberechi Eze? Do you think that City will just play their own game?
They will play their own game because that is just the City way. But they know what players can hurt them and what players that can't. So they will know, don't leave Sarr spacing behind too much space, because if he goes, you ain't catching him.
Yeah.
And Eze, if you give him too much space, he won't only put it in the top corner, but he sees passes as well. So they will have tactics to set it out. I'm kind of intrigued to see who's going to play, because at the minute we've had Nunes right back, Nico O'Reilly left back, and then Rico Lewis came in the other day. So I don't know who's going to play where.
One interesting thing I think when it comes to City is that there's going to be a lot of changes in the summer. One player that everyone's talking about is Jack Grealish, whether or not he moves on or does he fight for his place. Let's hear from Gabriel Bonlo. He was on breakfast last week with Alan Brazil discussing his former Aston Villa teammate.
For a fact, Jack will definitely want to be playing a lot more. Like, he needs to be playing week in, week out, get used to the rhythm of starting games. And Foden now.
Where would you like to see Jack go?
I'm not sure.
And I'm not saying you've spoken to him about it, but
no.
Where would you like to see him go abroad?
I would like him to go abroad and try a different league and choose the right club and the right manager who's going to play you, who's going to like the way you play and get the best out of you. I wouldn't want him to stay at Man City again.
Well, let me throw this at you, okay? Billy Gilmore and McTominay are probably going to win it with Napoli.
Okay.
Would Jack's as, with the greatest respect, Jack's as good as both of them, surely.
Of course, a different position, but if he's giving the chance to players like Gilmore and McTominay, I think that team will definitely suit him.
Interesting words there from Gabriel Bonlo. Welcome to all the listeners on Talk Network as well. What do you make of that? He has struggled a bit, Jack Grealish, and you think of when he was at Aston Villa in his first season at Man City, and he just was flourishing, right? It was almost like free-flowing football. He's now kind of stuck to a structure, and I feel like maybe we're not seeing the best Jack because of it.
I wouldn't necessarily say he's stuck to a structure. I think sometimes fans and even sometimes footballers forget that when I was at Man City, I played pretty similar to how Jack played at Villa. They give you the ball, you go and make some stuff happen.
Go and do it, Shaun.
Yeah, you go and try and change or win the game. But then when you go to a bigger club, it's not only you that can win the game, so you don't need to do all of that. There's other players you can rely on. He can pass and move. So it's not like he's been told, no, you're not allowed to dribble. He sees football just completely different at the minute because of it's different to when he was at Villa. Now, I reckon if he went back to Villa...
What do you think he enjoys more, though, Shaun? Do you think he enjoys the free-flowing Jack at Villa, where he was the man, give me the ball, I'll save the whole team, or this player now at at Man City, where he maybe isn't as integral?
See, I think as a footballer, and he's a winner, I was a winner, I loved entertaining people. Yeah. So I can imagine he would say free-flowing.
Yeah.
But then if you ask him about his trophy cabinet, how does he want to play?
Bank balance is
you know
nice
what I mean?
well.
The way he plays football is what it took to win the Champions League, because he played all the crucial games that year because he retained possession of the ball. He wins you free kicks, and when he is scoring and playing well, there's not many people that can do what Jack does.
Did you ever find it frustrating, though? You know, when you were asked to maybe not just play off the cuff, when you were asked to have defensive responsibilities, when your natural aptitude was to attack and get beyond the fullback, did you find it annoying when a manager would say, we're not gonna accentuate your best skill set, we're going to ask you to do something else?
No, because in many ways, I was quite lucky when I broke through at City the first time, because when I started playing properly under Kevin Keegan, I was actually playing right wing back. So I had to learn how to defend quickly. And then from that moment on, when Mourinho answers me that, I'm not thinking about me, I'm thinking about the team. We can win the FA Cup here if we do this right. There's no point me being selfish, because me being selfish could mean we don't win nothing.
I love the way fans look at it, me and you, and the way ex-pros and pros look at it. We're like Mars and Venus. We want to see you do a drop of shoulder, a bit of a Cruyff turn, and bang one in the top corner. They're like, no, team wins. Team wins. All right, Shaun, you're going to stick with us. You're listening to the Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT. We're live from BoxPark, Wembley, with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. Don't go anywhere. It's lovely in here. We're at BoxPark, Wembley Way for the big one, the 144th FA Cup final between Crystal Palace. I've got all Chelsea connections around me, Crystal Palace and Man City. All right, it's half-time in the League 2 playoff final semi-final between Wimbledon and Notts County. The Moose is watching the action for us. What's the score of the Moose?
Half-time Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0. The goal from Josh Neuville on 8 minutes. It was a long diagonal ball hit from right to left. Took one touch behind Bakari to bring the ball down, and his second was to lift it over Alex Bass. discuss his former teammate here at Plough Lane and give Wimbledon a 1-0 win on the day, and a 1-0 lead on the day, and a 2-0 advantage on aggregate. Notts County haven't given up, no way, but they haven't really tested Owen Goodman either, it has to be said, in the Wimbledon goal. At the other end, Bass too has been largely untroubled by one effort from Matty Stevens. At the moment, though, Wimbledon 45 minutes away from a playoff final against Walsall at Wembley on Bank Holiday Monday, live on talkSPORT 2. Because here at half-time, and the second half here is live on talkSPORT 2. Half-time, Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0, 2-0 to the Dons on aggregate.
Top man, we'll keep you updated as to when the goals go in that one. All right, let's get a feel for what it's like on Wembley Way. Angelina Kelly's out there with some fans. Angelina.
Yes, here on Wembley Way with some Crystal Palace fans. We've got a brother and sister duo. What are your names?
Danny.
Adam.
Now, you did mention you were here at the 2016 final. We're hoping for a better outcome today.
Absolutely. We're going to get one as well.
Love it. Now, look, when you look at Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner and the work that he's done, did you ever expect that you'd not only get here, but also, you know, European football's on the line today?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, not from the start of the season, but since Glasner's come in, he's absolutely changed things around. We've been just flying, haven't we, bro? It's just changed so much. He has absolutely transformed us. What a manager, what a leader, and the way he's whipped some of those players into shape, it's just been incredible.
One of those players, Jean-Philippe Mateta, before, he was almost like a butt of the joke at times. What do you think has changed?
I think it's just the confidence, and what Glasner manages to instill in the team is pretty special. When everyone believes in themselves, then magic things can happen, and even some crazy legs turning into some magic legs can really, really help the cause.
Now, after the 5-2 loss against City, your manager said that tactically going up against them again, he'd be able to get the job done. You've got total faith today. You are winning this FA Cup.
Absolutely. Straight after that game, he said, we know what we did wrong. We're going to change it. We'll change it for Villa in the semis. We did straight away after the semis. He said that's how we need to play. We're going to smash them. We are absolutely going to win it today.
I am loving the confidence here from the Crystal Palace fans. Getting busier and busier on Wembley Way now. We've got flags. We've still got the Crystal Palace mascots. Back to you guys.
Smash them. Bit of overconfidence there, I think.
Smash them. We're going to smash them.
I mean, a win, okay. Smash is a bit much. One player that we haven't spoken about at all this season, or we have, but for more negative reasons, is Phil Foden, who I think generational talent. Look, player of the year last season. I think we forget that sometimes. What's happened to Phil this season, Shaun?
Just a number of things. I think him not having a pre-season didn't help. I think he had a tricky start in terms of injuries. Then there was something else. I think mental health came up as well at some point. So he's had a tough battle, and what do you expect? He's still a baby, really, in terms of football. He's done so much in such a small space of time for somebody so young. It's only normal, I feel like, that he may have that one season where he gets a few injuries or he ain't at his sparkling best. But we also got to remember, I think he's the first English player in a very long time to win the Player of the Year.
Do you expect him to find that sort of form again in the future?
Yeah, 100%. Even you see little aspects of him when he comes on, and little things that he does in games. Yes, the end product isn't the same as it was last year, but all it takes is for one of those goals to go in or one cross to hit somebody, and that might start the train running again.
On City, I do want to speak about other clubs as well, with you, but finally on City, it looks like there could be a massive overhaul in the summer. Obviously, we know Kevin De Bruyne is going. There's a lot of talk about Gundogan. Bernardo Silva's name has been mentioned as well. Are you expecting wholesale changes, a complete clear out, or just one or two?
No, I don't think it'll be that big, because you fans, players know what it's like. That many players out the door, and then you have to build that team ready to win the title or challenge for the title next year. It's a hard job to do. So I don't think it'll be done that drastic or that quickly, but I think there will be a couple players that go out and a couple that come in, I should imagine.
Who are favourites for the title next season?
Probably Man City, isn't it? Like,
it's crazy, isn't
I think you always have to give the champions, the reigning champions, deserve a mention here. Like Liverpool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving us a mention.
You extend a courtesy to the champions.
Nice of you. Nice of you.
But I just think it's very difficult to look beyond Man City. I feel like they've had a dip in the way that Bayern Munich didn't win the league last year in the Bundesliga, and they bounced back and won it again. Yeah. I feel like Manchester City next year, you'd be a very brave man to write them off again, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And they can use today, if you feel the atmosphere building here now, they can use today as a springboard, win silverware again this season, and then launch a serious and sustained bid to win the Premier League again next year.
Anytime you've got a striker get and put 30 goals in his sleep, then you've got a chance. Let's talk about one of your former clubs, Chelsea. It's been an interesting season. There was a period when I thought Chelsea could win the league.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sadly, our manager didn't agree, and then it all went wrong.
Yeah. You're a bit of a fan of Enzo Maresca, no? You like what he's doing with the club?
Yeah, I actually do. I think if you look at the turmoil that they've gone through, he was probably the only manager that came in and said, this is my squad of players I'm going to work with, and kind of left the club to take care of that. Because for a manager, it's hard enough to put on sessions with 24 people. Imagine trying to put on sessions with 42.
Yeah, 40 egos as well.
Do you know what I mean? There's going to be players not getting minutes, then he's going to have to rotate. So it kind of messes up what he's trying to build. So he ironed that out straight away, and he's got them playing away. Now we can see Chelsea have an identity again. And now you're just waiting for little things to appear, like Caicedo's now part of that spine of the club. Yeah. Then there'll be a centre-back. Then if they get the number 9, then you can kind of see the line. Kepa will be back in net for them, I can imagine, next season. So they look like they're going in the right direction if he can keep it together.
You know, with the conversation around Maresca, Shaun, it's all about philosophy. You know, to me it feels like a very B-Tech version of Pep Guardiola, but it's all about philosophy. It's all about the way that we play. Regardless of the opposition, this is what we do. What do you think about that? Because that wasn't really the way that football was played when, like, under your managers, whoever you saw as maybe the greatest manager that you worked for, there was an element of pragmatism, wasn't there?
Yeah, but I do understand what you're saying, and I can agree with you, but I think the way football is now, people are realising that the more you have the ball, the less chance there is for the opposition to score. So as long as you don't give up silly chances, if they can't get the ball from you and you defend well when you do have the ball, chances are you don't concede a goal.
Is that negative?
That's the odds.
Negative football, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's, you can call it negative. I quite like it because I reckon if I was breaking through now at a younger age, I feel like it could have been easier for me to play now because I ain't got to worry about the ball keep going over my head. Yeah. The ball's played on the ground now.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but do you know what? Are we lacking, because of this maybe desire to keep the ball, possession for possession's sake? We're keeping the ball to keep the ball. We're not keeping the ball to be incisive or attack. Is that not having a detrimental impact to players potentially like you were? Well, dazzling footballers, players who were looking to get beyond the fullback, taking a player on.
I would agree with you if there were people like Doku around, Matoma and Eze,
Cole Palmer,
Elise that's just left. Yeah. If these players wasn't around, I would strongly agree with him. But there are those players around, and they are still at stages and at the right time doing what we all love to see: is people going past people and trying to force the issue.
A bit like City, they win a cup and they get into the Champions League. It's a good season. Could the same be applied to Chelsea if they win the Conference League and make Champions League? Is that a good season for Chelsea? By the way, they decided to turn up here, ain't they?
They've spotted Darren Ambrose outside.
There is Darren Ambrose. They're not letting Darren Ambrose in.
Darren!
Can someone get Darren Ambrose in,
please? Got to get Darren Ambrose through this door.
But no, would it be a good season for Chelsea winning the Conference League and, again, qualifying for Champions League?
100%. Like I said, getting in the Champions League is hard enough. Although Liverpool kind of run away with it this year, the middle ground of the Premier League table has been unbelievably hard. Yeah. All the teams up there challenging. So to navigate your way through that and still be where they are and in the finals of a competition, that's a massive achievement if you think where Chelsea were last year and the year before.
Yeah. Finals of the Conference League.
I know. Do you know Shaun Wright-Phillips?
No,
do you know what? It feels though you're trying to have a pop about us being in the Conference League. But do you know this man sitting to my right here, Mr. Shaun Wright-Phillips, was actually responsible for one of the lowest moments I've ever had at Stamford Bridge.
Why? What happened?
Scored a winner. Like, Rafael Benitez was our manager, and I just hated that era of Chelsea. I couldn't believe that they broke our heart when they appointed Benitez. We played QPR, big rival. Played QPR at home. We lose 1-0. Great goal in front of the shed end. This man pings it into the back of the net.
Yeah,
I didn't celebrate.
No, you didn't celebrate.
No celebration.
No celebration.
Didn't do it, like, didn't do anything.
Yeah. Nah, I wasn't loyal to the fans as they were to me.
Nice. Oh, look at him, Shaun Wright-Phillips. Where are you going to watch the game? You're probably doing Club Wembley, all that kind of stuff?
No, I've got to do a few hits pitch side, and then I'll go up and watch the game peacefully.
Okay, cool. Enjoy it. Score prediction quickly.
2-1 City.
Okay. Surprise, surprise. All right, let's listen to the FA Cup final pre-match party on talkSPORT. Adi Oladipo alongside Rory Jennings. And next up, the guests just keep on coming. And we're going to be joined by former Liverpool and Palace defender, the big Martin Kelly. Adi Oladipo, Rory Jennings, special guest with us as well, Martin Kelly, former Liverpool and Crystal Palace defender. I was just thinking, yeah, if you own one of the shops here, it's jackpot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this is it. Like this is it. This is where you fill your boots.
It's happening, isn't it? Yeah. It's certainly a lot more people than the usual Wembley market.
Yeah. It's a lot better than that. All right, let's look ahead to today's game with Cardiff.
Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
Did you notice, as a Liverpool fan, Martin, I'm a Liverpool fan, I made sure I said former Liverpool and then Crystal Palace defender. You got to get the big team first, you know what I mean? Martin, how are you, though? Good?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Good to be here, Martin. This must be exciting for you. Obviously, look, you spent several seasons at Palace. This must be, me and Roy was saying, this could possibly be their best ever Premier League side. You played in some good ones, but this must be exciting to see the fans sort of steam up Wembley way.
Yeah, I think so. I think the difference between 2016 when we were back here with myself, you've got 4 or 5 players in this squad now that should be playing Champions League in the next few years. So I think that's the real difference, and the fans here, they deserve it. They've had to put up with, you know, a low block with the likes of myself and other players for so many years. They deserve this entertainment, the likes of Eze, Sarr, Mateta. You know, they've got so many players that are so good to watch.
You know, if we compare the situation today, Palace going into a cup final, compare it to the last time Palace went into that cup final, I feel like today, despite the fact that they're playing Manchester City, who are a fantastic side, I feel like the gap is smaller. Like, if Crystal Palace had, in 2016, it was more unlikely for Crystal Palace to win than it was today.
Yeah, it was definitely, yeah. When we were 2016 up against a really strong United side, we had a lot of alpha males in our team that would, you know, really fight for the badge, but we didn't have the talent apart from, you know, Balassi and Wilfred back then. So this time, I think Pep, him being such a good manager, he'll give Palace the respect that they deserve in this final. I think it'll be a very cagey start. All neutrals will want it to be end-to-end, and it'll be a much better final than if it was Palace Forest. Don't get me wrong, but I think it'll be sort of a real good chess game to start off with, and then hopefully, from my point of view, Palace can get the opportunities on the counter-attack that they'll probably be looking for.
You mentioned a few of the Palace players in the side today that I think can play Champions League football right now, and all of them I think could get in the top 4 or 5 teams. How difficult, and Palace fans probably don't want me to ask this question, how difficult to keep a few of them in the summer?
I think winning this today will help, for sure. I think if you won today, you're back to Wembley playing the Community Shield. You're in Europe, so I think if it goes the other way today, as harsh as it sounds, I think the players who can play in the Champions League and Europa League, they'll be more inclined to. Definitely their agents will be saying that. So I think it's a massive game for Palace and for City after getting beat by United last year. So.
What do you remember most about the day in 2016? So you know, like the players now, the Palace players now, what will they be going through? What will be in their mind?
Now you're just trying to switch off all the outside noise. The week building up in training with Oliver, I don't think it'll change much. I think it'll be all the same stuff, and then you can either opt to stay close to the stadium or well away. 2016 we stayed, I think, at the Grove, so we had Alan Pardew back then. I'm sure we got to see the trophy. I think it was a week or maybe the night before. It put us off a little bit. Like, it was a bit like, you know, we want to win it, but we knew we were underdogs then. So I think, you know, part of that prep it is massive, and it's about just being as relaxed as you can until basically you go out for the warm-up, do your own pre-match routine, don't change much. They'll all know what they're doing. They all seem real calm and collected, and have the good balance of, you see the likes of Eze, Mateta in the changing rooms now. They're so lively people. They're real good feeling people to be around in the changing rooms.
What do you make of the new manager, Oliver Glasner? Like, we didn't know too much about Glasner. I thought Vieira was going to work out really well, and he did at the start. Roy Hodgson came back, settled this ship. Glasner's come, and he seemed to have, he had a tough start to the season. Mateta was away at the Olympics. He came back a bit jaded and tired. All of a sudden, they've just gone bang.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's amazing for whoever got Oliver in to get him in, because he's obviously proven now how Palace can turn that tricky start. I don't think he had his full squad back at the start of the season, so I don't think that helped. And then they got a little draw against United at Selhurst, and that was sort of the turning point for Glasner to have a real impact. I think some of the players he's turned into real top players. Munoz, who's the right wing back for Palace, he's up there top 3 right backs in the Premier League this season for me. He's a real key player in that Palace attack, and I think Oliver, he's getting talked about to go and manage higher up. Steve's one of them that will want to keep hold of him, and he knows what he's doing as a co-owner of Palace. So it's been really exciting to see Palace with the squad they've got now to have someone with the quality of Glasner to take over and project them to a level where they're in an FA Cup final.
And Martin, you were part of the Liverpool squad that got to an FA Cup final and part of the Palace squad that got to an FA Cup final. Was the preparation at both clubs the same, or did you see differences in the way that Liverpool approached the game and the way that Palace approached the game?
Yeah, there was differences, because Liverpool used to go into and get into cup finals. You had players there that, if you take City's team today, they've all got the silverware that they'll have sort of less nerves, I guess, than the Palace players. But the way that Oliver, listening to his pre-match interview with Mark Guay yesterday, is he comes across so positive and calm that can only ring out throughout the whole of the changing room. So I think that'll only settle Palace, and they've got a good age balance there with them being a little bit inexperienced, and sometimes that can really work in your favour on stages like today, where you can just have a real good go at it.
Look at that flag, look at that.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, they're loving it, aren't they? This is good. This is what it's all about, isn't it? This is why the FA Cup is so special. I wanted to ask about Liverpool, former club. Obviously, surprise to many how they went and just romped away with the Premier League, especially considering Jurgen Klopp left. What have you made of Liverpool this season?
Yeah, fantastic. I think the way that they gave every team, home and away, the respect that they deserve. They haven't gone gung-ho from the start of games to try and win that we'd see under Klopp. I think Arne has approached each game with a real respect for his opponent, really. And some games early on at Anfield that I've been with, part of Liverpool TV, teams have really took the game to Liverpool, and they come out second half, whatever Arne said has worked, whether it's substitutions or half-time team talks. And I think he's Liverpool, in a way, how they ran as a club, whoever has sort of gone out there and got Arne Slot, gone as much into detail as to pick him there to see his injury record and stuff like that. That's been a difference. There's been no stone unturned in picking Arne Slot, and he's come in and it looks like he's made it look easy in the Premier League this season.
I think it's fair to assume that Erling Haaland will be leading the line for Man City today. As a centre-half, how do you start? Where do you begin to try and contain him?
Kick him.
Yeah, I think having three, with Palace having three centre-halves, that'll always help. But watching the semi-finals against Villa, they had the long striker with Ollie Watkins up front, and he did work in Palace's favour. It's more the runners off Haaland that is going to be key for Palace to pick them sorts of players up, and just to be brave enough and to not go and sitting back early on. If they can keep it mid-block as such that Oliver does so well, I think it'll be a real, sort of tight game.
Haaland key for City. I guess on the flip side, you could say maybe Eberechi Eze, that key man for Crystal Palace. You played with Wilf Zaha, where it was a case of give Wilf the ball, he's going to do something special, and he most times did. Is Ebe that guy? Is that what Eze is now? He's almost like the superstar player for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, he's one of many. I mean, look at going back to the semi-finals, all the Palace players were 8s and 9s out of 10. If they want to win today, they're going to have to be 8s and 9s out of 10, no doubt about it, with the sort of juggernaut of a club of City. So I think Eze has settled these last couple of seasons. I've seen the change in terms of him stepping up and being a little bit more consistent in this season, being an assist. Last season he scored more goals. I think Eze can be as good as he wants to be. He's definitely got the talent. He's got the character. He's such a cool guy off the pitch, and he's got that balance around him now with the likes of Sarr and Mateta in so high form from last season, bringing that into this season. Adam Wharton behind him, the back three I love, and the goalkeeper. So it's good time.
Can I ask you your thoughts on Adam Wharton? Like, since he broke through at Blackburn Rovers, he just hasn't stopped, and people are talking about him now in the most glowing terms. People are talking about him as the answer to England's wait for a trophy. They're talking about him as a definite Champions League player. How highly do you rate him, and how important is he to this Crystal Palace team?
Yeah, he's highly important to Crystal Palace team, and going forward I think the way that he plays is very unique in terms of, I think as a kid he played sort of higher up the pitch as a 10, and you can see that when he's a holding midfielder, sometimes he'll get the ball played into him. they play the ball around the corner one touch, and you don't really see that from holding midfielders. So I think Adam, I mean, we've got the same agent, so speaking on behalf of his agent, he's got a real good tight-knit group around him and family to keep his feet well on the ground. And at that age, when you're still in the potential years, you've just got to keep fit, you know, not get peas above sticks, as my dad would always tell me. Keep yourself grounded and make sure that football is your main focus until you get to where you want to get to. And Adam, having met the lad, he seems that type of character that, you know, sky's the limit for him.
Final one, Martin. Look, 119 years they've not won a major trophy. Crystal Palace, what would it mean to the club, to the area in South London, to Steve, who's obviously invested a lot into the club, just to win that first trophy and then kick on and try and really sort of crack into that top 10 on a regular basis?
Yeah, it'd be huge for a club as on the world map as small as Crystal Palace. I think having the American owners come and join, we've been put on the map over in the States a little bit more, but I think for Steve, who's as hands-on as anyone as an owner at Palace, I think he deserves it more than anyone to try and get some silverware today. And the fans, you know, travel home and away. Everyone likes going to Selhurst. Everyone likes hearing the away fans there. They've got that fan base that have stayed humble throughout. And I remember being here a few weeks ago for Liverpool Newcastle final, and you know, Newcastle had this BoxPark. They had the whole side that was fans were making. Yeah, they had the jam. Yeah, so today I can see that with Palace. It's got a vibe about it that it's gonna, before kick-off, if you need any sort of extra push as a player walking out today, they're gonna get that from the Palace fans.
Martin, appreciate it, my man. Thank you very much. Enjoy it as much as you can. All right, that's all thanks to Carling.
Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Always drink responsibly.
All right, I think the second half is underway between Wimbledon and Notts County. Remember, it's a League Two playoff semi-final second leg. The Moose is watching. Any updates on the scores?
Approaching the hour mark, it's still AFC Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0. So 2-0 to the Dons on aggregate. Josh Neufeld's goal in the first half. Second half, the only real chance possibly could have fallen to Wimbledon, Marcus Brown, but it just wouldn't break for him inside the penalty area. Notts County getting towards desperate times now if they're to get into this one. It's Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0, 2-0 to Wimbledon on aggregate, and the second half commentary continues on talkSPORT 2.
All right, you're listening to the Emirates FA Cup final build-up here on talkSPORT. We're live from BoxPark, Wembley Way, with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
This is game night. The goals are cool.
It's a brilliant goal!
Stimulate your senses with a heavy-duty payload of thrilling Premier League football.
Oh, my goodness!
Exclusive full-match commentary of Brighton versus Liverpool.
Kick-off 8 p.m.
on talkSPORT.
Welcome back to BoxPark, Wembley FA Cup final pre-match build-up. Rory Jennings on his phone for some reason. Darren Ambrose on his phone. You can't get the staff nowadays. Yeah, you don't need research. You've got Darren Ambrose, Mr. Crystal Palace legend.
I'm researching him.
With us. It's got louder in here. The big, big flags behind us. The music's gone up a bit as well. And we've managed to get this man, the legend. They weren't letting you in.
They were all celebrating as Darren walked through. They were serenading it.
Yeah.
Serenading. It's lovely.
Lovely.
They weren't doing that with Newcastle, were they? Let's be honest.
No, who's that? No. What's it like for you, Daz? Again, look, you played at Crystal Palace for so many years. You must love this. Coming, making your way here as well. Must be nice.
Mate, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I worked for Crystal Palace 3 years. 3 years after I ended my career. Coming here, every time Palace get a gig, I get inundated with work, and it's so nice to just pick and choose where you go. They want me here in BoxPark, but I need to be up at the stadium very, very soon. I'm pitch side today, and I've not done that yet.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much.
Honestly, Ade, I've not done a pitch side gig here before. I did the semi-final, but I was in Club Wembley. I was seeing all the supporters. And by the way, in the semi-final, the Aston Villa supporters were so confident that they were going to go through. And at the end, I was the smuggest one walking through those lounges. But I'm really looking forward today. I think it's probably one of the closest cup finals for a long, long time, in my opinion. And I think if Palace turn up like they did in the semi-final, I really think they can go away with a trophy.
Do you expect Palace to be able to play their game? Because the one thing that we don't know about this Crystal Palace team that we do know about City is City know how to win silverware. Yeah. They know what it takes. They won't freeze on the biggest stage. Don't get me wrong, Palace have looked amazing at various points this season. I think some of the individuals are exceptional. I think Glasner's one of the best managers in the league.
Yep.
But it's hard, isn't it, to turn it on in a cup final against such proven opponents.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. They know how to win trophies. They know how to get the job done. In the semi-final, people were thinking, well, Nottingham Forest are in good form. They're going to go through. They just got the job done professionally. And you can see Pep Guardiola will probably say the same thing today. If you go out and play the way we know you can play, and they know they can play, then it could be a comfortable afternoon for Manchester City. But cup finals don't work like that. We see that. Last year they were massive favourites and they ended up losing to Manchester United. I just feel that there's an air of optimism and an air of excitement walking through Wembley Way here at Wembley BoxPark. Just Crystal Palace are quietly confident that they can get the job done today.
Are you quietly confident?
I am. If they turn up how they did against Aston Villa, where no one really gave them a chance, to be honest, and I did, the Crystal Palace supporters did, and that's not just saying it because we're associated with the club. Just, it's been a remarkable run of form recently. Oliver Glasner, I agree, Rory, is one of the best managers in the Premier League, in my opinion. Already being touted elsewhere, and I don't think he should go anywhere. But if they get this one over the line, I don't think he will go anywhere. They've got a fantastic squad. I heard you earlier talking about Adam Wharton, arguably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League at the moment. But it's going to be a tough afternoon for Crystal Palace, and look, just hope football wins. And if football wins, that means Crystal Palace will play with a trophy.
Where do you think it's won and lost, Darren? Whereabouts do you think on the pitch? Like, what are the crucial battles?
If Erling Haaland's playing, the crucial battle between him, because Aston Villa tried to play Ollie Watkins against Chris Richards, Mark Gahey and Lacroix, and it didn't work. Unai Emery didn't know how to handle that free formation, 3-5-2. Daniel Munoz down the right-hand side is one of the best forward runners at the moment in the Premier League. But I heard you earlier, and I think centre midfield is key. Kovacic versus Adam Wharton. If Adam Wharton can get on top of that battle, I think he will be the architect of everything's good at Crystal Palace. And look, who you've got up front in Ismail Assar, Eze and Mateta. Mateta's been the only one recently, probably because of his injury, that's not really been on form. If he can turn it on today, I can really see Crystal Palace can be comfortable.
Before we started, he's like, I can give you guys 2 minutes. He's talking for 5 minutes himself. I know you've got a couple of gigs, so shoot off. That's appreciate it coming. Thank you very much.
Enjoy.
All right, Angelina Kelly is on Wembley Way. Let's hear from Angelina.
On Wembley Way, and I have got 2 Manchester City fans with me who have been sitting together since Main Road. What are your names?
Mark. Paul.
Now, going into this, be honest, does a trophy make up for not the best season?
Absolutely not, no. No, it doesn't make up for it. I mean, we're used to, in the last 10 years, we're used to winning. So arguably the game on Tuesday is more important than this one, but it'd be a nice way to finish off a pretty mediocre season, yeah.
Now, when you look at, you're currently 6th in the Premier League, Champions League has to be the priority, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, today's going to be a great day out and that, but priorities Tuesday and the game after. We've got to get the Champions League.
And obviously there's a lot of talk about Kevin De Bruyne, fans singing his praises on Wembley Way today. It'll be really special for him, this moment, won't it, if City win?
Yeah, but you know what Kevin's like. He said it's all about the team, isn't it? So obviously it'll be a nice special way for him to finish his what has been arguably the best City player ever. But I'm sure he'll be looking at Tuesday night as well after this one. So like we've said, Tuesday's the big one. This is just a little bit of icing on the cake if we can take it away from a pretty mediocre season, like I said before.
Now, they've been talking on talkSPORT about Adam Wharton. Pep Guardiola pinpointed him in his press conference. Is that the type of player you'd like to see at City?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've just heard some news that he's fit today, so...
Bit worried.
Bit of a disappointment for us, that, but yeah, he's the type of player we'll have, young, English, can play. So yeah, great.
And finally, Erling Haaland has not yet scored at Wembley. He's on for a hat-trick today, right?
We'll just take the one in a 1-0 win, and he doesn't have a lot of touches in the game, so as long as that touches, it goes in the back of the net, we'll take that all day long, and I'm sure he will as well.
There you go. All it takes is that one touch from Haaland for City to get this FA Cup trophy back to the studio, guys.
Here we go. Again, look at him. Look at him. He's not really professional, is he, this guy? Not really professional.
I've got a lot of time for Darren Ambrose, but he did leave his rubbish, so I've just had to clear away.
Yeah, Darren Ambrose is making his way. Look, I'm so happy for Darren. Obviously, look, fantastic broadcaster, big Palace legend, making his way to Wembley. He's getting mobbed as he walks out as well. And I've just turned around, and it's now considerably busier.
No, it's going on, isn't it?
And by the way, as well, we've not been given any food or drink yet.
No, just want
to put that out there. No food or drink yet, because I'm starving. Look, let's talk Mateta. 2 fantastic seasons, 19 goals last season, 17 goals so far this season. Out for a portion because of that horrific injury against Millwall. He's a danger man today.
Jean-Philippe Mateta is undoubtedly one of the best centre-forwards in the Premier League. Yeah. That's like the least controversial thing that you'll ever hear said.
Who's better than him?
I think you could argue that he is the best centre-forward in the league this season. If you wanted to have that argument.
No, he's not better.
Whether you're right or wrong.
No. He's not better than Isak, and he's not better than Haaland this season.
Whether you're right or wrong, you can easily have that argument. Alexander Isak is a more beautiful footballer, and I think Alexander Isak is potentially more skillful and more graceful. But what Jean-Philippe Mateta does for his team, Crystal Palace fans wouldn't swap him with anyone in the league. There isn't one centre forward that you could offer a Crystal Palace fan.
Can I name one?
You can't find one.
Chris Wood.
What?
Does exactly what Mateta does. I'm just saying, he just told me to name one. I just named one. Because he does exactly what Mateta does.
You didn't name a striker that's better than
20 goals this season.
No.
I like Mateta, but let's breathe a bit.
Jean-Philippe Mateta is undoubtedly one of the best Premier League.
I think he's fantastic.
Undoubtedly. You could argue Erling Haaland because of Erling Haaland's track record. You could argue Alexander Isak because of the beauty with which Alexander Isak plays and the natural eye for a finish that he has. But Mateta would walk into basically every single Premier League team this season. Mateta would immediately elevate Chelsea. Mateta would immediately, listen to this, Liverpool have just won the league. They've won the league in 4th gear. He would walk into the Liverpool team.
Okay, fair. It's a fair point. All right, you're listening to the FA Cup final pre-match party on talkSPORT. Adi Oladipo, Rory Jennings. Up next, we're going to be joined by former Palace striker Connor Wickham. I can see him at love, isn't he? Big boy to get his thoughts on the current side and look back at that defeat in the FA Cup final here at Wembley back in 2016.
1053 medium wave. Online, on your mobile, on the app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT on 1089 and 1053 medium wave. On DAB, online, and on your smart speaker.
It's in the goal!
Fast-moving coverage of the oldest association football competition in the world.
That is a fantastic goal!
The FA Cup Final pre-match party
with Andy Oladipo and Rory Jennings
on talkSPORT. Saturday afternoon.
The FA Cup Final live on talkSPORT.
Oh, what about that?
Crystal Palace versus Manchester City.
Kick-off 4:30.
What a great year of play.
The FA Cup Final live. Crystal Palace versus Manchester City on talkSPORT.
Welcome back to BoxPark, Wembley FA Cup Final pre-match party build-up. Rory Jennings alongside myself. We've been joined as well by Connor Wickham, former Crystal Palace forward. We're going to get into Connor Wickham and what he's doing now and what could happen in the future as well, Connor. But he was part of the last time Crystal Palace were here back in 2016. Obviously lost to Manchester United. Let's remind ourselves about that game.
Punchin has picked it up, left-footed, and scores! Jason Punchin, the man who grew up a Crystal Palace fan in Croydon, has lashed the volley beyond David De Gea. Fellaini chests it down, Mata is there through the legs of the goalkeeper and in, it's the equaliser. Away by Balassi, who turns past Chris Smalling here, who's already been booked, and Chris Smalling is going to be sent off in the cup final. Coming into the area, looking for Martial, comes back towards Jesse Lingard and he scores and the 10 men are in front. It's Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 1. Manchester United win the FA Cup. Success at last.
Sorry, Connor, we had to play it. I didn't want to. I was like, no, don't play that.
Yeah, it's like reliving it all over again.
Yeah, all the pain. What was it like, though? Wembley, you obviously played a lot in that game. I think like nearly 90 minutes in that game. What was it like, the experience for you?
It was unbelievable. I think that was my first time playing at Wembley in the semi-final.
Yeah.
So we thought that was big, and then to go to the final, it was just something completely different. It's almost like what you dream of as a footballer until they go and score with 10 minutes to go, and then you don't win. But to experience something like that it was amazing, and especially with the squad we had in the club at the time, we probably, we got there, but to live it was just incredible. It sits with me today, and it's one thing that the Palace fans still say to me today is that goal in the semi-final. So
yeah, no, it's an amazing achievement from that Crystal Palace side. What do you remember about the day, like the atmosphere? Palace fans do make a racket, don't they? Were they loud that day?
Yeah, I think I always say I think Palace have got one of the best fan bases in the country.
Like hardcore fans.
Yeah, the stadiums. You know that you could go and play. I remember we played Norwich away on like a Tuesday evening game or something, and it was packed. And you think, how on earth are they going to get back? And there's no trains running. But it's just that they've got that core fan base. So it's just one of the best that there is. I don't know who there is that you can really match it with.
Going into that final, Man United were favourites, right? Been there and done it. And I guess the gap was quite big. Although you put up a good show, and the gap going into the final was a big one. This isn't the same, is it? Going into this one, yeah, Man City favourites because they've been there and done it as well. But I think a lot of people that we're speaking to think Crystal Palace have got a really good chance.
Yeah, I think, like we just said, in the last final, I think I don't want to say we overachieved, but it was a huge achievement for us to get to the final. Yeah. But this year, I think you can see that where the club has been and the direction that Steve's pushed the club in over the past few years, the development of the academy, the club, the investments, everything has just been it's been astronomical, and it's starting to pay off, and the manager seems to be really switched on and clued up with the players are performing. They've got a really exciting young squad, and this isn't something that they can look at and be like they've overachieved. This is probably what they deserve, and they're competing now with these teams, and they are slowly kind of becoming one of those teams in the Premier League.
Yeah, it feels like it's coming, doesn't it? That elusive hunt for a trophy. Crystal Palace have never won a major trophy in their entire history, but it feels like it's getting closer and closer. The learning off the back of losing the 2016 final will make them a better side today. I think the chasm between the two sides. So in 2016, I think most people thought that Manchester United would win that final. They were the favourites and Crystal Palace were the clear underdogs. It isn't like that today. I think that there is a Rizla paper between the two teams, and it could go either way.
Yeah, I think especially, everybody expects City to be in a final, in every single final. So for Palace to be there, and as we said, they're competing with these teams now, and they seem to be, quietly getting along their business and creeping up and becoming, a very good team. And I think they will cause City a few problems today. They've got a young team, an exciting team, and ones that they don't really seem to be fazed by much. Yeah. Which, this atmosphere is what they've been building up to. They had the Wembley against Aston Villa and the good win against Fulham. So that in their games, and two convincing wins as well. So it's not as if they've scraped through. They've almost looked like they've cruised it through to the final. So this is just the last hurdle for them to jump over, and we'll see how it goes.
Big hurdle.
Yeah.
Big hurdle, but right, they're there, right? So many good players in this Crystal Palace side right now. We've mentioned so many throughout the show. Me and Rory were just talking about a player in your position, Jean-Philippe Mateta, who I think is fantastic. I think he's at the right age, powerful lad as well, scores lots of goals, and I'm almost surprised he hasn't been linked with a big move away, because everyone's looking for a number 9. I look at his numbers, and his numbers suggest that this guy can go to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, JP, I was there when he first came in, and he kind of came in and was, it wasn't hit and miss, but you never really knew which direction he was going to go, and I don't think he really knew which direction he was going to go. But I think the last probably 2 years especially, he seems to have knuckled down, he's filled out, he looks powerful, he looks strong, he looks, aggressive and mean, and he's just bossing defenders, the way he tucks his top in and just gets on with it, man. But yeah, he'll be obviously looking to lead them today and take them, and obviously against the City defenders, he's going to be crucial to the Palace team.
Sorry, Rory, what's happened to number 9s? It's been a massive debate, hasn't it? I mean, I've seen you do shows with Carragher. Everyone's been talking about it. Like when you were playing, hundreds of number 9s. It felt like there was a good number. Now though, they're not there as much anymore. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I mean, as much as I'm 6'4", 6'3", and tall, and same as Jean-Philippe, but as I said, I don't know what's happened to it. I mean, there's so many players that managers want the players to play close to the 9s, and then they almost become a 10, and they almost become like a 9.5 and a 10. And as I said, they're just fizzling out, and they almost seem to be the ones that come on at the end, and we try and get something from a game, but.
Strange, isn't it?
It's a dying. I think the art of the inside forward has grown as well, hasn't it? Players playing in a way like that Mohamed Salah plays. Like your goal scorer doesn't necessarily have to be an archetypal number 9. People are getting the goals from wide positions and whatever else.
But there's all those also. You're right, but there's this desperation now to find them. Yeah. Liverpool desperate to find one. Chelsea, United, all the big teams don't have one. Yeah, and everyone's desperate to look for a number 9.
And that's why we're talking about somebody like Jean-Philippe Mateta in such glowing terms. Yeah. Just before you came on, Connor, Addy and I were having a debate about quite how good he is. I think that at worst, from Mateta's perspective, there are 2 strikers better than him in the Premier League. I think you could argue that Alexander Isak is a better striker than Jean-Philippe Mateta, and you could argue that Erling Haaland is a better striker. But Manchester City are going to have their work cut out today, because they're going to have to deal with the 3rd best striker in the Premier League. Do you feel like if he has a good game, it almost comes down to, if Mateta has a good game, Palace win the cup?
Yeah, I think his numbers obviously aren't going to lie, and what he's put on paper the last couple of seasons are going to be kind of crucial, and especially he's going to be something difficult for the City defenders to handle. And you could argue that he is in the. Don't want to say it, but if he's in a top 4 team, his numbers might double. You never know. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, but for this team, he's like, I've not seen him closely, but from a distance of being out of the club, just kind of developed kind of what I saw coming to the club to what he is now, and it's chalk and cheese. It's completely different, and it's lovely to see, really, because I'm just happy for him in a way. That, you know, he was obviously in my position and like doing it for Palace now, but I'm just happy that, you know, he looks happy. He looks like he's enjoying his football. It's at a great club, and you know, he's just going about his business. And obviously, whatever happens,
part of a great team.
Yeah,
it's not only him.
There's loads of them now, isn't it? Where before it was kind of just sprinkled with one or two. Now there's at least 6 or 7 that could go on for bigger clubs. I want to take you back to a difficult time for yourself. Obviously, when you were just about to kick on with the Crystal Palace career, 2016, a knee injury happened. You was out for pretty much 2 years, really, 2 seasons, no football. How difficult was that for you when you felt like you were at your best and just about to go?
It was horrible. It's such a nasty time, and the worst thing was I knew straight away that what happened, because I felt it in my knee. I knew exactly what it was, and I was almost so gutted. I wasn't angry. I knew what it was. I knew how long it was going to be. You know, it's not one of those things, but you know, to do it in that game where I'd scored 2 against West Brom before, 2 against Sunderland the game before that, and I was kind of picking up, my numbers were picking up, my game time was picking up, and I was, you know, getting right into the flow into, I think it was my 2nd season. To just be like completely taken out from underneath you was like, it was horrible. Yeah. And to sit there for them 2 years and, you know, try and grind it out was like, it was so difficult. But yeah, I guess it's, you know, it's part of the risk you take from playing football, and unfortunately I got hit with something that kept me out for that long, but I managed to get back and keep playing, and you know, I'm still fit. So
hello.
Yeah.
I love it, because I feel like this show we should have like breaking news noise. Yeah. Little strap. Connor Wickham is available and ready to go. Is that the case though? Is it getting a good pre-season in, which I guess for you starts right now, and then seeing what happens next season?
Yeah, my pre-season's already started. I mean, I've been in the gym for probably 3 or 4 weeks already. I knew that, you know, I had to take a long break out at the start of the season. I had, you know, ongoing issues with something to do with my son. I couldn't leave London. It was difficult for me to get out, and all the opportunities I had were really far away. So I had to kind of, you know, make that decision. And as hard as it was, you know, I had to prioritise my son at the time. And I managed to get into a club like near me, a championship club, and train consistently on a weekly basis and get in. And it was probably, I was always hopeful that I was going to get something, always, and a couple of options might have come up abroad, and you know, there were a few sniffs in England, but nothing really concrete. And you know, I was on the phone to my agent like every other day, like, what's going on?
Get me something, come on.
Get me anything, you know what I mean? But yeah, as I said, I did the pre-season and a training season with the club, and once it got to a point where I realised that, you know, it's probably not going to happen this season, I just, you know, took a step back, you know, just relaxed a little bit. And then, as I said, my pre-season started 3 or 4 weeks ago, so I'm already in, like, hard in the gym, and, you know, I've got a training camp.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, really good, yeah. I've got my weight down quite a bit, pretty much lighter than what I was when I was playing, you know, just before I done my knee, which I felt was like a peak weight. And there's all these things, these little minor details that you don't really consider. But I'm managing, you know, just chipping away and getting it down and getting everything in the right place, so that once the pre-season does come, and if there's an opportunity, you know, I'm ready to go. You know, as soon as the phone rings, I'm ready to go. So
can that phone ring? 03717 3344 talkSPORT. You know what to do.
Yeah.
But I guess, look, you're in a position now where it's a dying art, the number 9s, a big number 9 like yourself with proven history, proven track record. It should happen. We're going to continue this conversation, if you don't mind, Connor, after the break. Stick with us, loads to come, and don't forget as well, we've got the best team, the best presentation team for the FA Cup final. Adrian Durham alongside Jim Proudfoot, former Man City manager Stuart Pearce, and former Crystal Palace midfielder John Solarco. You're listening to the Emirates FA Cup final build-up here on talkSPORT, live from BoxPark, Wembley Way, with Carlin, the official beer partner of talkSPORT and the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly.
Full coverage Saturday afternoon. The FA Cup final live on talkSPORT.
Oh, what about that?
Crystal Palace versus Manchester City.
Kick-off 4:30.
What a great game of play.
The FA Cup final live. Crystal Palace versus Manchester City on talkSPORT.
FA Cup final pre-match build-up here at the Adobe alongside Rory Jennings, Connor Wickham with us as well. It really is time to build up. We're, 2 hours and 10 minutes away from kickoff, and you can feel it now. All the are making their way up Wembley Way as well. We are going to get some reaction from Wembley Way from Angelina Kelly in a few moments, but it is round 3 of Golf's PGA Championship in Carolina, and watching for talkSPORT is Gabby Partington.
Yeah, guys, it is round 3, but we'll have to wait a bit of time before it gets underway, as actually play's been suspended due to the thunderstorms and dangerous weather here in Charlotte. And actually, we saw Rory on his way to the first tee about 45 minutes ago when the horn was blown, and he didn't look too pleased. Now, the bad news, it's been reported that it could be at least 2.5 hours before play resumes, but good news, it'll be sunshine throughout the day thereafter with a bit of breeze. Now, whilst the early starters are patiently waiting, worth mentioning a few big names who'll be going home, the likes of Jordan Spieth, unable to join the Grand Slam club, and European Ryder Cup stars Ludwig Åberg and Shane Lowry also missed the cut. But let's flip to the top of the leaderboard, and it's the man from Venezuela, the world number 70, Jonathan Vegas, who has the 2-shot lead at 8 under par and goes out in the final group alongside Mathieu Pavon from France.
PGA Championship update on talkSPORT with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed.
All right, so we're going to get a feel for what's going on Wembley Way. Honestly, the fans are streaming up Wembley Stadium. We've got a perfect vantage point here. Let's hear from Angelina Kelly, who's out there somewhere with fans. Angelina.
Shining here on Wembley Way. There is nothing like the FA Cup final, and I have got a Crystal Palace fan here with me. What's your name?
Hello, I'm Carl.
And Carl, you've got your son with you. You've brought him to this FA Cup final. This is a massive day for Palace fans, right?
We're really excited. Obviously, only our 3rd FA Cup final. My boy Jacob, who's just out of the shot, coming together with him is really special. We came to the semi-final, obviously dealt with Villa very well, and now it's our turn. It's got to be our turn today. It feels like we're going to do it.
I mean, you know, City fans are talking about how important this would be to their season, but for Palace, this means more, surely.
Well, when you look at the seats when we're playing, let's see how important it is to City fans. I think for us, it's everything. You know, we're playing really well under Ollie Glasner, European qualification potentially, and City haven't had a great season, but that's okay. For us, this is 125 years or so, and, you know, hopefully we're going to win.
And at BoxPark, Adi Oladipo, Rory Jennings and co, they've been discussing Mateta. And if he's the best striker in the Premier League this season, what have you made of him, and do you agree?
I mean, he's got to be up there, isn't he? There's people like Chris Woods at Forest who've done very well, but Mateta is your old-fashioned centre-forward. He bangs them in. Look at the goal he scored against Arsenal. So obviously I'm biased, but for me, even a neutral has got to say Mateta has got to be, at the very least, in the top 1 or 2 strikers in the league.
I love it. Top 1 or 2. We'll discuss it with a striker. Right? He'll give us these top 3 or 4. Let's get an update. It is full time in the game between Wimbledon and Notts County. Remember, it is League 2 playoff semi-final second leg. The Moose was watching. Who won it?
Wimbledon won it. Wimbledon will return to Wembley. It finished here. AFC Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0. Josh Neuville's goal 8 minutes in turned out to be the winner in this particular tie. Added to Riley Harbottle's goal last Saturday at Meadow Lane means that Wimbledon will be at Wembley to face Walsall. Good goal as well, putting it over the top of Alex Bass, who, by the way, made some saves second half to keep out a point-blank header from Matty Stevens. So the League 2 playoff final on Bank Holiday Monday on the talkSPORT 2 will be Walsall against AFC Wimbledon, going back to Wembley again where they won the FA Cup and promotion before. After it finished here, Wimbledon 1, Notts County 0. On aggregate, Wimbledon win 2-0. 1-0.
Cheers, the Moose. Thank you very much. All right, Connor Wickham still with myself and Rory Jennings. We're having the conversation about what next. For you, you're fit, you're ready to go, you look trim and ready to go. Would you entertain, or can you entertain a club abroad now? Would you do that?
Yeah, I think since I left Charlton at the end of, not last season, the one before, that I've had opportunities to go abroad, probably like little snips, and if I really pushed it, maybe it might have come off. But yeah, I'm fit, I'm still ready, and I'm still been consistently training, and as I said, I started 3 or 4 weeks ago to try and get that, head start on everybody else. I know how competitive it is and how much, how difficult it's going to be, but I'm prepared to kind of, just set my mind and tunnel vision and get back in, especially coming to days like this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Conor. Does it whet your appetite? When you're around Wembley, obviously you've played at Wembley Stadium for Crystal Palace in an FA Cup final previously. When you're in and around it like this, does it really whet your appetite to get back to playing football?
Yeah, in some ways it's horrible because you're not involved, you know what I mean? But at the same time you appreciate that, wow, this is what it actually means to so many people, do you know what I mean? And that's just, there isn't anything outside of having a break. There's nothing that you can really replace it with. There's nothing that hits the same way as playing football, do you know what I mean? So, I've just got to focus and get my head down and just try and make the opportunities happen. And, if it does, then as I said, I'm ready to go. So.
Give us a bit of an insight, Conor. How does it work? I mean, do you go to a club and have like a week trial, 2-week trial? Do you have to kind of put yourself in that position where you've got to go and prove yourself as well now? Or?
Yeah, probably, and it's probably because of the pre-season. No one's in a rush. You know what I mean? So it'll probably come to the week before the season starts, and everyone's like, we haven't got no one in. Numbers. Do you know what I mean? Numbers. So then that's kind of when you become a bit more valuable, and then obviously once the window closes, then even more so. But all I can do is what I can do, and that's stay fit and be ready. And I've got one of the best agents in the business. Yeah. So hopefully it gets me something for next season. I'm ready. So.
Do you have any idea what you're hoping for? Like any clubs in particular? Have you been in touch? What level you think that you could go back in at? Like what is the dream here?
Here we go. Here's the big pitch. Come on, let's have it.
Obviously, playing at this level before is, it's the best level that you can get to. So, I'm not expecting to be, I'm not expecting, miracles. But I want to play football. I trust my ability, and I trust that I can get back to a level that justifies what I can do.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've still got so much to give. And even though, taking this time out and watching games, I almost can't watch football because I want to play that much and get them to be back and play that. I almost can't watch it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a rock and a hard place. And as I said, this off season is a place where I can get myself in the best shape possible, and that's all I can do. And I'm sure something will come up.
Honestly, we wish you the best of luck. This is the side that a lot of fans don't see.
Yeah, it's such a hard.
We always see the top 1%.
It always comes across so
signing the big
glamorous
contracts. When you are struggling to get back in, honestly, fantastic player. Hopefully, the injury's now fully behind you. You can get into one of the clubs that you choose to. Let's talk about one of your former clubs very quickly, Charlton.
Yeah.
You were there for a small period. Obviously, they're into the League One playoff final against Leyton Orient. Like all London derby, this one it should pack out Wembley because of that. It's so weird for me to see Charlton in League One, and I've been stuck in League One for so many years when I remember them as a Premier League club.
The biggest club in that division by a distance, aren't they?
Well, Birmingham were in there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of clubs in there.
Yeah, I think when I was at Charlton when I was at Charlton and I ended up leaving and I half knew, I was saying at that point, next season this team will get promoted 100%. And it, the mentality that Nathan Jones came in with.
What's he like? He looks a bit of a character, Nathan Jones.
Yeah, character. Quiet. Character will speak to you when you need to be spoken to. It's quite fair. But the way that he works and his demands were just something that club I feel like needed to pull the players, to drag the players through. And he wasn't afraid to tell people if they were out of line or out of place or what he wanted them to do. And I was saying before I left, I was like, I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that they've achieved what they've achieved this season.
Yeah, it's very interesting what's going on at Charlton.
Yeah, I love his celebration last time out. He's on the dugout. He's sort of hand down on his knees. Before we let you go, Conor, go on. Prediction for this big one. Who are you going for? Head over heart, or what is it? Heart over head? Which one are you doing?
It's a tough one. You can't flip a coin, do you? And I want Palace to win, obviously. I want Palace to win. I don't think there's a good day ever to play City, but I think the momentum that Palace have got coming into this game and the occasion, it might, City might be used to it. Palace have got everything to go for, and the adrenaline might push them on. So yeah, I'm hopeful the Palace will win. To be fair,
indeed. Please keep us up to date at talkSPORT. What goes on with yourself as well?
Good luck, Connor.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Honestly,
thank you so much.
Before I let you go, I'm just going to go quiet so you can hear the noise in this place because it is very loud.
No, it's building, isn't it? The atmosphere is building.
It is. Yeah. By the way, still no food for me and Rory. Half an hour to go. They've still got time. They've still got time to go to the burger van. All right, you're listening to the FA Cup final pre-match party on talkSPORT. Adi Oladipo alongside Rory Jennings. Up next, we're going to go inside. We're going to hear from the host of live football, Mr. Adrian Durham.
figures are in, and talkSPORT has more listeners than ever.
Would you believe it?
Banging it into the back of the net for a record-breaking 3.5 million people. That's 40 Wembley stadiums stacked with sports-hungry, loyal listeners every week.
This stadium is shaking!
Keep listening to the UK's official favourite commercial sports station for stellar names, exclusive games, boxing, and more unmissable live football than anyone else.
Absolutely first class!
Knocking it out of the park on DAB, on the app, and on your smart TV. Record-breaking talkSPORT.
Trebles all round. Always drink responsibly. Like me.
The FA Cup Final pre-match party
with Adi Oladipo and Rory Jennings.
The FA Cup, the oldest and the best domestic cup competition anywhere around the world.
Is Bellassar scores for Crystal Palace. Oliver Glasner, who said he won't wear a suit until he leads Palace out of the final. Well, book yourself a trip to the Taylor's Villa because Palace are coming back to Wembley.
focused on what we want to do at Wembley with a lot of confidence and looking forward to the final.
Kovacic, a little give and go on the edge of the area, and it's slotted in by Rico Lewis from the edge of the box. This is Manchester City's day. Took the lead in the second minute, never looked back, and the destiny truly was never really in doubt.
The final FA Cup is an honor, privilege. It's 3 times in a row. Of course, we had to perform well, and we traveled to London to win the title.
City Palace in the 2025 FA Cup final.
Here we go. Getting closer, aren't we? Getting closer to the 144th FA Cup final between Crystal Palace and Man City. Crystal Palace looking to win their first trophy ever, which is incredible.
Shows
their
you how
first
hard
major
it is.
trophy. It does show.
When people say, oh, it's going to be a bad season for City, you're like, they're going to win a trophy. So many big clubs haven't. It's such an important thing to do.
City looking to win their 8th FA Cup final. Pep Guardiola looking to win, I think it's his 19th trophy. If we're counting Community Shields, me and Rory are lucky. We've got the perfect vantage point here. We're in BoxPark, Wembley, which is home to Crystal Palace fans. You can probably see all the red and blue behind us. In front of us, we've got the perfect look here
Wembley
for
Way,
Wembley Way.
Splendour in the sun. It's wonderful, isn't it?
City fans all steaming up as well.
This
now,
is
to be
football.
fair.
This is what football is all about. Strolling down Wembley Way in the sunshine for the FA Cup final. This is what everybody dreams of.
Do you know who's got a better place than us, though? Adrian Durham. Adrian Durham is inside Wembley right now. Let's welcome in the GOAT. This is going to be a special final. I remember the Newcastle-Liverpool one we did. You gave Newcastle a very good chance. Do you give Crystal Palace as good a chance here to cause the upset?
First of all, Addy, Rory, what a pleasure to be on your show. What a brilliant build-up show you are doing at BoxPark. Absolutely loving every second of it. And I will point out, as you know, if you look out the window, the sun is shining. Factor 50 for me at the ready. I'm pale and ginger. It's going to hurt when I'm pitch side between 3 and 4 on talkSPORT here at Wembley. I do give Crystal Palace a chance. I think if Adam Wharton in midfield starts to control things the way he can, if Eze plays the way he has been playing in the last 4 or 5 games, the way he's been playing in some of the cup ties this season, he's their joint top scorer in the FA Cup with 3, and they've all been absolute bangers, then actually I think Crystal Palace will do it. If those two are on form for Palace, they will do it, because you know that back 3, especially led by Gahey, are going to be totally reliable today. So I'm having Crystal Palace as winners today.
All right, I started with a bit of a head start here. Let's look into this game with Carling.
Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
There you go, let's do this again properly. Aid, how many of these Crystal Palace players do you think get in the current Man City side?
I think quite a number of them, to be honest with you. When you bear in mind, say for example, look at Tyrick Mitchell. Manchester City haven't had a proper left-back for as long as I can remember. I mean, they've got Nico O'Reilly, who's a number 10, playing at left-back, and he's fresh out the academy. You know, he's made his debut for the senior side this season. He's been brilliant. Mateus Nunes is playing at right-back. Are you telling me you wouldn't have Munoz ahead of him? Mark Gahey gets in as a centre-half into the Manchester City side, no problem. Adam Wharton can run things in midfield. Eze gets in. I really like Mateta. Probably doesn't get in ahead of Haaland, but he gets into the City squad. So, I mean, I think they've got some fantastic players. But the thing with Crystal Palace is they come into this 5 unbeaten. They're in a bit of form. They've got goals in them. That front 3 can be unplayable at times. So, I think that this is their time. They haven't won a major trophy. This is Crystal Palace's time. They shouldn't freeze, because they've just done Aston Villa here a couple of weeks ago. So they shouldn't freeze on the Wembley occasion. That's why I think it's going to be their time.
Adrian, there really is nothing like this, is there? FA Cup final day in the sunshine. It's what football is all about, the dazzling spectacle that is the FA Cup final, steeped in history. You're a man who I know will fully appreciate that. What's the atmosphere like where you are?
Well, the fans have started coming in. The atmosphere is already brilliant. DJ is rocking some tunes, banging some out. Around Wembley as well, where you are as well, that in the build-up towards kick-off, that's where it all gets going, and that's been brilliant. That was brilliant a couple of hours ago when I walked down Wembley Way. But you're right. Any Wembley showpiece occasion, listen, Peterborough were in the lower division final of the EFL Trophy this season. We won it for the 2nd season running. It was a magnificent Wembley occasion. FA Cup final day. I woke up to a message from my producer saying, happy FA Cup final day. Every single season he does it, and it's spot on, because this is... I heard your conversation earlier about those who kind of poo-pooed the FA Cup. And it wasn't... I don't think there were many who did that with any great conviction. I think what's happened is a few managers early rounds have picked what are called weaker sides, but I think they still generally pick teams they think are going to win the games. If you look at Man City, for example, their top scorers in the FA Cup are McAtee with 3, O'Reilly with 3. These are kids from the academy who get in the early rounds. They pick a team, Pep Guardiola picks a team that he thinks will win the game, and that has happened this season. It's happened for the last couple of seasons. They've got through to the FA Cup final. So it's still, for me, very special. I mean, my generation, it was the whole day was consumed with everything FA Cup, and for me, that is still the case. I absolutely love it, and I think generally fans love the FA Cup.
Aid, a lot of the build-up's been about the players. Let's talk about the managers. Let's start with Oliver Glasner first. Heavily linked with the Spurs job. Right? I had a look at the odds, and he's favourite to get the Spurs job in the summer if he were to leave Crystal Palace. How impressed have you been with the job he's done, especially the second half of the season?
Yeah, well, first half wasn't much to write home about. They didn't win any of the first 8. They were in the bottom 3 after a third of the season. Since then, he has pulled it right together and got them playing. What I love, what he's done, what Amorim can only dream of doing, getting a 3-4-3 to work in the Premier League. Maybe next season Amorim will do it, but Oliver Glasner did it from the off when he came in. This is a guy who's won the Europa League before. This is a guy who got through the group in the Champions League with Eintracht Frankfurt. That, to me, is impressive. You know, the levels you're at to achieve that kind of thing, you have to acknowledge that and take your hat off to it. Why would he take a step down going to Spurs? I don't know. I know people might think that's a little... They've got a big ground. That's about it. They've got a chairman who doesn't really back the manager. They've got a team that never does anything year in, year out. And sure, they may well win the Europa League, and that will be the carrot getting into the Champions League, I suppose. But for me, I love the job he's done here, because Palace play some great stuff. You know, people have knocked the Premier League this season, saying, oh, it's bored. Basically, they've all jumped on the Gary Neville thing. He didn't like the way Man United played, so he said the whole Premier League was rubbish. Absolute garbage. It's disrespectful as well, by the way, to the likes of Crystal Palace, to the likes of Nottingham Forest, to Bournemouth, to Brighton. All these clubs play tactically fascinating games of football. There's some exciting players to watch in those teams, and they're allowed to express themselves. I don't think it's been boring at all. I think Crystal Palace are a great example of how exciting the Premier League can be.
Well said, Adrian Durham. Adrian, your thoughts on today's matchups? Like, where will this game be won and lost? You know, if you think Gahey and Co versus Erling Haaland, Mateo Kovacic versus Adam Wharton, where do you see this game being won and lost in the FA Cup final?
You've nailed it in that midfield battle. Kovacic against Wharton, I think, is the key. What we've got to bear in mind as well is Pep Guardiola, when it comes to a final, he can do some crazy things. He can make some stupid selection that will lose the game for Manchester City. An inexplicable selection. So who knows what he's going to spring on us today? You never can tell. But if it's what we expect, I think that midfield battle is key. If Adam Wharton is allowed to get on the ball and do his thing, I love watching him. You know, if you have a little player cam on him, instead of following the ball or watch his movement, little things he does, he flicks a ball around the corner without even looking, knowing his teammate is there, and it takes out 3 of the opposition in one move. I think he's a sensational footballer, just needs to stay fit and needs to do it consistently. I think Adam Wharton, if he has a good day today, then Crystal Palace win the FA Cup final. That midfield battle is the key for me, because I trust the front 3 for Palace to do well. I trust the back 3 for Palace to do well. I know what those wing-backs can do. Munoz, I mean, the energy he's got, I'm exhausted just watching him. So you trust all those players to do their thing, but that midfield battle for me is key. And if Pep Guardiola hasn't spotted that, City are in trouble.
In terms of special players that light up the football pitch every time they get on it, Emirates definitely ticks that box. Again, slow start to the season. He's now found his best form. How key is he for this Palace side? Almost akin to Wilf Zaha when it was a case of give Wilf the ball. I feel like Eze's a bit like that.
Yeah, love him, absolutely love him. I mean, for somebody who was rejected by Millwall because they played 4-4-2 and he didn't fit into it, I mean, that could have affected his confidence really badly. Goes to QPR, he's allowed to do his thing, gets a big move to the Premier League, to Crystal Palace, and he's still doing his thing. some big club somewhere is going to get an absolute talent, because I just cannot see him staying at Crystal Palace. He's starting to do it for England as well. He should have been in the England squad a little while ago, I believe, but look at his goals he scored in the FA Cup, all from the edge of the box, all absolute bangers, where he just turns and shoots, and it's unreachable right into the corner. This is high-level football from Emirates. And he loves chess as well, and I'm a massive chess fan. I really want to play him at chess. He's really good at that too. Is there anything he's not good at? How annoying is he?
Is there anything you're not good at? I didn't know you could play chess. At age...
Football. Have you seen me play football, Addy?
No, we're
and listen, and Addy, you're the boxing expert, mate. If you ever get me in the ring, you'll know I'm not good at that. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Age, you never fence it when it comes to this. Who do you think takes it?
I think Crystal Palace will win the FA Cup today. I think they will lift the FA Cup. I just think Man City... they're unbeaten in 10, Man City, but a 0-0 draw at Southampton is basically a defeat. So they come into this off the back of a defeat, Manchester City, and I think their confidence will be low. They were worried because they're not in the top 5 after last night's results. I think that they will be thinking, oh my goodness, we've got to get in the Champions League. There'll be a bit of panic. Palace will take advantage. Crystal Palace are going to win the FA Cup.
I love it. Never sits on the fence, does he? Adrian Durham, that's all thanks to Carlin.
Emirates FA Cup final build-up on talkSPORT with Carling, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, always drink responsibly.
Strong on Crystal Palace, wasn't he? Very strong on Crystal Palace.
Not surprising, though. It's weird,
Everyone
isn't it?
is.
I think everybody thinks that Crystal Palace are the major underdogs simply because of the opposition, without necessarily exploring how the opposition are playing. City are vulnerable.
Yeah, but it's still City.
It's still City. It's still Guardiola.
Yeah,
it's
that's
still
the
all
thing,
those
isn't it?
experience, but they are vulnerable.
Yeah.
They lost 9 out of 11 earlier this season.
But also, and he surprised me with that stat, they're unbeaten in the last 10. Didn't that not surprise you?
Yeah, it did a bit.
I was like, oh, okay. They've quietly gone under the radar.
No, it's on a knife edge. Look, there's a bruise of paper between the two teams, but I can totally understand why Adrian Durham there has selected Crystal Palace as his favourites for this tie.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win in a second. I feel like I know which way you're going to go. All right, you're listening to the Emirates FA Cup final build-up, all right here on talkSPORT, live from a very bouncy and bubbly box park here on Wembley Way with Carlin, the official beer partner of the Emirates FA Cup. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Tuesday night Premier League 2. Manchester City take on Bournemouth on talkSPORT. Crystal Palace versus Wolves on talkSPORT 2. Both James kick off at 8. Get it? It's a totally tremendous twin-finned Tuesday night Premier League double on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2, Mr. Bond.
The magnificent arches of Wembley Stadium, the most famous stadium in the world.
Yeah, it's the most iconic. It's got to be the most iconic. First the Twin Towers, and now obviously the Arch.
It is.
Worldwide recognition.
Indeed. We're at BoxPark, Wembley Way. Myself, Rory Jennings. We have a guest as well with us. A very nervous Elliot Still is with us. Elliot, stick with us. I'm going to come to you. Oh my God. Yeah, he's shaking. He is shaking. But look, it is really bubbly. It's bouncy in here. We're not too far away from kickoff. We are going to hand over to the great Adrian Durham and the team in a few moments. But before we do that, Angelina Kelly is somewhere being mobbed on Wembley Way. I think she's got a couple of Man City fans with her.
Yes, here on Wembley Way, it's getting busier and busier, and I have got friend of talkSPORT and Manchester City fan Rachel here with me. Now, we talk about these games, these big City games. Are you feeling a bit nervous about this one when you consider how this season has not gone to plan?
I am feeling a little bit nervous, in part because of how the season's gone to date. We've obviously set really, really high standards and not met them this year. However, if we finish with Champions League qualification and an FA Cup trophy, we'll take that. But I'm a little bit nervous about Palace as an opposition as well, because they have pace, they have physicality. They're two things that we're really lacking at the moment at City. So I'm very nervous. They gave us a bit of a scare as well in April when we played them. I know we went on to win the game, but they did go 2-0 up, and they could have gone 3 up if Eze hadn't mindlessly wandered offside. So yeah, I'm a little bit apprehensive, shall we say, but confident in Pep that they'll get the job done.
And there's a lot of talk about Kevin De Bruyne, with this being his last chance to get silverware with Manchester City. Where do you sit on his exit, and how special will today be for him?
Well, I said when he came out and said that he was going to be leaving at the end of the season, I remember stating at the time there'd be no more fitting tribute than him lifting the cup today. He has been a phenomenal player for City, and not just for City but for the whole Premier League. Sometimes as a football fan there are players outside your own team that you come along and you've just got to admire, and he's one of them. So I know that the real send-off will be Tuesday night when it's his last game at the Etihad, but today is going to be really, really important. If he could get on the score sheet today, or assist, either or, I'd take either, but that would make it even more special for him, and he's such a special player. He absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, he does deserve it, but he's okay. He's got a few trophies in the cabinet already. I don't know if an FA Cup's going to add to what he's done for City. He's been glorious. Elliot Still is with us, shaking.
Nervous,
honestly,
man.
He's shaking. This is the man that normally gets on stage and, you know, tries to make people laugh in front of hundreds of thousands. He's more nervous sitting here as a Palace fan. What is the feeling, though? Is it just sheer nerves?
Oh, man, it's fun to be it. It's always fun until the game starts. That's it, because you come out, you have a few beers and you're having a laugh, and then the game starts and you go, oh, yeah, they're an oil-backed conglomerate that have millions of pounds, and we're just like our stadium isn't even in Crystal Palace, it's in Selhurst Thornton Heath. It confuses all away fans who come to it. Like, none of us really know what to do here, even though we've been to Wembley a few times. We kind of get up here and we go, West London, we don't even really know where this is. Every Palace fan today's had to city mapper it.
Were you here in 2016?
Oh yeah, no, let's not talk about that. But yeah, no, it was look, it's fun, it's a laugh, but it's that thing of going, oh my God, what if we do it? You know, what if we actually win an FA Cup? And everyone wants us to beat City. Like, if you're neutral at home, they got 115 charges. They're evil. Deep. I don't think that anyone, apart from like if you're at Brighton or Millwall, you would even if you're playing for Europe. Come on, do you want these guys to win another bit of silverware? Is that what you want?
They've won enough in the last few years. 2016, as we've been saying on the show, Man United were big favourites. It was Man United again, very similar to City, right? A team so used to going to Wembley. This time round, I mean, we've asked a lot of people, me and Rory, on the show, and a lot of people are giving you a massive chance.
Yeah, I think. Look, there's this thing now where it's suddenly like, it's always cool in life to hate things that are doing well. And Pep Guardiola is clearly one of the greatest managers who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Let's not count for the fact that he will tactically know how to outplay us at parts of the day.
Agreed.
That's where it comes down to Oliver Glasner. That's where it comes down to, and we did that against Villa. Well, the first time when we played Villa back at Selhurst, we thrashed them because we played this high press. Here, we played a slightly higher press, but we sat back a little bit and let them onto us. So that's what it's going to come down to, the outthinking of the managers and the use of the players. That's, you know, where Glasner is a master tactician, whereas before, Pardew was more focused on his dance than he was focused on necessarily beating United. And we went ahead with, look, that team was amazing and it was great that they got us there. This is a far better side. I think today the player who will be the best for us is Munoz. Munoz has been outstanding all season. Just this little hooligan running forward all times. He's incredible. And then you've still got the skill to back up, whereas before we relied on Zaha. It's now like, okay, we've got Eze, we also got Wharton, and we've also got the Barclaysman in Mateta. Just lump it up to him if things get worse.
He's fantastic.
He's brilliant. And we're playing that sort of football that I think people want to watch. Yeah. I think people love. Saying that today, we'll probably sit back and do a Southampton and just board them out of the game.
No, do you know what? I think you can be brave, and I think that Oliver Glasner will be. I've seen some of your stand-up, Elliot, and you speak quite a lot about Croydon.
Yeah.
What would it mean to Croydon and to Crystal Palace to finally win a trophy?
Man, we've got nothing in Croydon. You guys have you been there?
Once.
Yeah, exactly. No one goes back. Yeah. Everyone goes on there on the way to Brighton. Look, look, Manchester. It's a way cooler place. They got the Gallaghers. We've got Nigel Farage. Let us have.
And Elliot still.
And don't put me in the same bracket as him. We've got. That's all we've got is this FA Cup. Think of the setup. We'll have an open top bus, but they won't even remember they've won it come September.
Yeah, it would be huge, wouldn't it, for Crystal Palace? And also, it could be the start of something to come because you've got such good players. There's a chance that they're so good that they could have their heads turned if you aren't in Europe. But if you're winning trophies, playing for Crystal Palace, playing in Europe, maybe you can keep hold of some of the players that people are suggesting could leave.
Well, yeah, look, I think if we don't win it, and this is a thing as a Palace, when you support a team like Palace, like I love Michael Elise, and he should have left. I'm glad he's gone on and winning things, and he's in these big times conversations. If we don't win today, and Eze and players like Gay leave, I want them to go on and win big things to say that I saw those guys at my club and we spotted them at the beginning. Like that happened when Ashley Cole one time came on loan to Palace. You want these kind of standout players to play for your club when you're somehow we'll mess up the FA Cup final and finish 12th in it. That's what we do. We're a team that come 12th. If we can have players that do well and go on to bigger things, but today's their chance, just for us as fans to say we finally won something, is the moment. It's like being an England fan. I never got to experience 66. I want to experience what that feeling of winning is like, and what a team it would be to do it with. This is the best team I've ever seen down Palace.
As we've been saying throughout the show, go on and score prediction. What are you thinking? What are you genuinely thinking?
Well, look, realistically, 4-0 City, but genuinely 3-1 Palace. I think we've got the ability to out-defend them. I think we've got the ability to turn them on the pace and the counter-attack. That's where we're going to be very dominant. It is going to come down to taking our chances. It's going to come down to that cool head, not Wembley gets you. And that's where City got the advantage. They've been in these situations before. They know how to play this game. You're playing in a treble, to win a Champions League against Inter Milan. That's a huge moment, and they kept their heads and they knew how to grind it out as a 1-0 win. Don't think it's beyond City to just win this 1-0. They know how to grind out games. That's what good clubs do. They go ahead and they bore out a game. That's why I'm hoping today we just go in and we turn on attack, and the fans, the support, the tifo. You look at how the hometown fanatics get behind the club. This is a community-funded club. They're going to get behind it, and that's why I'm hoping gets in the players' heads today, especially City fans.
Go on, Rory, let's wrap it up. What are we thinking here?
I think it's going to be a great story if Crystal Palace can do it, but I do think that the experience from Man City will be too much, and I think the City win the game 2-1.
Oh, interesting. I think 3-1 Palace.
Yes.
I really do. You know what it is? I think Palace are going to be winning 2-1. I think City are going to chuck everything at them to get the equaliser, and they're going to leave Mateta on the break, and he's just going to go through and finish the game. I really do think. I think the same in here. I do think it's a bit like Newcastle, Liverpool. Sometimes you've got to beat the behemoth, and they haven't won anything in 119 years. I think they're going to do it. I really do. Elliot, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Thank you very much. Up next is FA Cup final game day live with the GOAT, Mr. Adrian Durham.